My name is Keith Romano. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Inland Wetlands Commission meeting for the town of Monroe. It is March 13th, 2024, and the time is 7:11 PM. Will everyone please stand or recite the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll take a roll call of all the members and of the commission and staff present during tonight's hybrid meeting. Please answer here present, starting myself, Keith Romano, chairman. Here, Eric Lindstrom, vice chair. Here. Brian Kelly is the secretary, is not with us tonight. Rick Smith to my right. Here. Jim Stewart. Not here. Benjamin Sabia. Here. Paul Fernandez. Here. Kathleen Gallagher, our planning and zoning administrator.
Here.
And Sarah Stroud, recording secretary.
Here.
And we also have a warm welcome in attendance tonight, Tom Noonan, who is our new wetland enforcement officer and zoning enforcement officer for the town of Monroe.
Here. And now we have to accept him or something?
No, so he has to get his inland wetland training that is done by DEEP before you can accept him as an agent. I have it, actually Rick has it as well. So at the moment, you guys had voted me in to give me authorization as an agent. He will eventually do that. He doesn't have that training yet because he's only been here for a week. So I'm hoping at the next meeting we'll do that.
Kathleen, do you need that proof?
No.
Have it anytime you want.
Also recognize Paul Fernandez's first night, joining us on the commission. Thank you for committing. Thank you. And, all right, before we start, I'll read our mission statement and how the meeting will proceed. Inland Wetlands Mission Statement. The objective and purpose of the Inland Wetlands Commission is to provide for the overall protection and preservation of the inland wetlands and water courses within the town of Monroe. Meeting procedure. Please note that this meeting is being conducted utilizing electronic equipment in compliance with state law, Public Act 21-1. As such, this meeting is being recorded and will be available to the public in compliance with state law. If you are attending remotely, please remember to mute your microphone unless speaking. Anyone participating remotely should state their name and title if applicable at the outset of each occasion that such person is speaking. All votes taken during which any member of this body are participating remotely shall be taken by roll call unless the vote is unanimous. The chat feature will not be utilized nor considered during this meeting. In the normal course of our meetings, we'll hear public hearings and other applications. The protocol for public hearings is to have an applicant make a presentation to the commission, during which and after which the commission will be asking the applicant questions. I ask that applicants keep their presentations as concise as possible. The commission will then review town, staff, and other independent comments. The meeting will then be open for public comment. I will ask that all comments be made to the chair or commission. After any and all comments pro, in opposition, or of a general nature are made, the applicant will be given an opportunity to respond. Please keep comments or questions direct, or a time limit of 3 minutes may be imposed. It's not necessary that the applicant respond, but generally in their best interest to do so. There will be no further opportunity for new questions unless new materials entered in as evidence or testimony during the response. Please keep all comments pro and con specific to inland wetlands related matters. Other applications that do not involve a public hearing will follow a similar format with the exception there will be no public comments allowed. The meeting follows our published agenda unless otherwise amended. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, staff would request that we add under regulated activities, application acceptance, regular hearing and hearing determination, Judd Road, Bridge 04929, for an acceptance and a determination of the public hearing.
Say bridge 04949.
Yeah, 04929. Apologies, I misspoke. 29.
Okay, and there's no file number to read it when we start that?
I don't know if they issued a file number. today.
Okay, all right, that's enough, I guess. All right.
They should have, but if it's not stamped on, I don't have that thing. Yes, so IWC dash 2024-02.
Oh. Okay. Anything else?
File number 1474.
Anything else to add to the agenda?
No. I guess we could mention that we're going to read the withdrawal letter from 1536, 1564 Monroe Turnpike under correspondence.
All right, this is the general public participation portion of the meeting. Anybody in the chambers tonight or online want to address this mission about wetlands, inland wetlands related matters that are not in one of our current applications or soon to be in front of us? Anybody raise your hand? Unmute yourself and state your name online if you have a comment. Okay. So we are on to regulated activities, application acceptance, regular hearings, hearing determination. We have file 1474, IWC 2024-02, Fred Road Bridge number 04929.
We have James DeMayo, who is the town engineer with us. James, if you have a moment, we would appreciate a quick review.
Yeah, would you be able to allow me to screen share?
I believe I might have to make you the host and then you would have to make us the host back.
Okay, whatever we need to do. If it's too complicated, don't worry about it though.
Can you request?
No. All it says on my end is host disabled participant screen sharing.
That's a good idea. You should be able to share now.
Yep. Okay. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For the record, James DeMayo, town engineer. Just kind of want to go over this brief overview of what's happening. So we have a bridge on Judd Road, which is essentially obsolete. It needs to be replaced, and this is right on the town line between Easton and Monroe. This is a shared project between the two municipalities, and I do know that they were in front of their wetland commission last night. I just have not heard back on if it actually got approved yet or not. But that's where this is at. So this is the location. So again, Judd Road. So kind of off Stanley Road. Right here. This is looking into Monroe on the bridge, or sorry, that was looking into Easton, and this one's into Monroe. Just to give you an idea, looking upstream. Sorry, looking upstream from the downstream side of the bridge, this is what you see. And then the south elevation is the water's flowing in this direction down. So essentially what we're doing is we have to replace it, or well, it's to the point where we got to replace it. So we're of the mind that this is what would be considered a significant activity because we don't have any other way around it. We are constructing a bridge over this water course, the Mill River. The construction plan Essentially what we're gonna do is this is the existing right here. The existing head wall. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave that in place while we excavate out behind it and construct the new walls and everything else. That way we can try to keep everything, out of the brook as much as we can. And then that'll almost be one of the last things that gets pulled out. But yeah, I mean, pretty much that's kind of about it. In terms of a real quick summary. Again, I'm of the mind that this should have a public hearing. So, if you have any questions, just let me know.
Just help me out for a second on go back to the pages, that shows the bridge detail. Right, okay, so that would have been fine. What side is Easton and what side is Monroe there? Because I can't find it on that one.
Easton and Monroe.
That side. Okay, all right, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And we're the only, it's just the wetlands application, right? So this is the only, our application here would be the only opportunity for anybody in the public to speak about this project?
No, so I am currently in the process scheduling a public information meeting, and that's mainly for the detours that are going to be required. But because of the fact this is a joint, so technically speaking, the public hearings in the wetland would satisfy our funding requirements through steep in order to, obtain the funding. However, I did not feel that was appropriate due to the detours and the fact that it's on the town line. And this affects two different municipalities. So I didn't want it to be segregated. So I'm in the process of scheduling basically a public information meeting, which I'm hoping to have. I just sent out feelers for the beginning of April. So hopefully I'll have that scheduled and posted soon. And mainly that's to discuss the detours and traffic patterns, when the construction is going to take place, all that. So the public is well aware.
So you're requesting public?
I mean, I personally, I don't know how a wetlands application cannot be public for this one. I
Right.
believe it's significant activity because we are working within the regulated area. So
Right, I think we're all thinking that same thing, but if you request it that way, it just makes it a lot easier.
yeah, oh yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay.
And so the public hearing would be for April 10th. James, does that work with your general timeline for public participation meeting, for your
Yeah.
public information meeting, things of that nature?
Yeah, it doesn't. Those two meetings don't need to coincide necessarily. I believe the date that I'm looking at is the following Monday from that one. But either way, again, that's to talk about traffic patterns and things that are non-wetland related.
Need to make a motion. All right, motion to make this a public hearing.
Motion from Commissioner Lynchman to make this public hearing.
If we can just be clarified, due to the fact that it has the potential for significant impact.
Correct.
Second by Commissioner Smith, all in favor?
All right,
All right, motion passed unanimously. Thanks, James.
James, can I just ask what the traffic is per day expected? What's an average traffic over that bridge?
Ooh, that is a good question. I do not have
All right.
that.
Fine, that's fine.
I don't. I will have that for the meeting, the
Yeah,
next
of course.
meeting. I just
It's
don't have
okay.
it right now.
All right, thank you.
On to regular meeting, no public input, none. Public hearings, IWP 28-07 A1, file number 1145-205 Monroe Turnpike. Request a modified permit to change the building from office to self-storage. Revisions to grading, wall location, and improvements, 205 Monroe Turnpike LLC owner, solely engineer LLC representative. This is your. Right.
It's presenting today, so share content. 30.
Okay, I'm just gonna get a second, but, so, good evening, for the record, my name is Matt Baldino, licensed professional engineer, assistant project manager in solar engineering, here on behalf of the client, 205, Monroe Turnpike LLC, for the application before you this evening to modify the previously, approved wetlands application, to accommodate a, self-storage, facility of 100,000 square feet in the rear of the site, which was previously approved for a medical office building of approximately 10,000 square feet. So just, I know some of this commission has been with us for this application before, and some of this commission is new, so just to provide an overview of the site. The site's located, as outlined in yellow here on Monroe Turnpike Route 111. It's the site where the Panera Bread is in the front, and then the Noble Gas is on the left side, was subdivided from the property. But just as a high-level overview, the site is 6.97 acres. It's in the LOR zone with an SDD 6 landed on the site, which was recently approved through the Monroe Planning and Zoning, which would allow us to have the self-storage use on the rear portion of the site. So the site is bound by residential property, as you can see to the north and to the west of the property. DR Charles is just to our south, and then obviously Monroe Turnpike is to the east of the site there. Site access is currently off of the signalized intersection that was installed during the original construction at the time of the Noble Gas. Just a little bit more of an overview, slightly before the Panera Bread was built. Now, for the site plans, the application was recently, we submitted revised plans to the commission, which incorporated modified access to the southern side of the site. So the storage would be located in the rear portion of the site. Essentially, the portion that we are modifying consists of this parking spine. Not okay. I get a laser pointer. There we go. Yeah. So the portion that's being modified this evening, it begins right along this line here, which divides the parking facilities associated with the Aldi, which is under construction, and then the parking facilities that are associated with this storage building on the western side of the property. As mentioned, the site originally included access on the southern side of the building. We've revised based on intended operations to provide a reinforced turf on the southern side of the building, which would allow us to still have emergency vehicular access on the southern side, but restrict delivery vehicles or patrons utilizing the site.
Can you go through what you just said again one more time?
Yep, so the southern side of the building will have a reinforced turf emergency access drive to allow emergency vehicles to access the southern side of the site. But it would not have a paved access drive on the southern side of the building.
Oh, so previously there was a paved.
Correct. The original application that was submitted, but we did submit revised materials, which I believe they have.
That's one of them.
They have, but this is the first time they're seeing it.
Okay.
There'll still be drainage galleries under there?
Yes, so under the drainage area, so again, modifying the previously approved site, which was included a medical office and parking, was located in this, what is now the southern side of the building, where the underground detention system is. The site would have a finished floor of 459 on the first floor, which would be accessible from the eastern side of the building along here. The elevation around the remaining sides of the building would be approximately 453. So you would have an additional 6 feet of that first floor exposed. There would be a lower basement, which would be partially buried on the site in order to bring the grade up of the site. The stormwater has been designed in accordance with the 2004 Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual and 2000 Connecticut DOT drainage manual. As previously mentioned, this was located in an area that was previously disturbed under the last application. There's 0.94 acres of upland review area to be disturbed, which is equivalent to the same amount of disturbed area as previously approved. The area kind of shifts slightly. So in order to accommodate the emergency access drive on the southern side of the building, and in order to support the Aldi development, this wall was constructed along here, closer to the wetlands, to allow for the additional access drive. But we were able, in doing so, to change the grading along the southern side in order to reduce the limit of disturbance on that side to ultimately give us the net zero change from previously approved area of work.
How was your impervious changed from, because you said you removed parking spaces and paved areas. Has that gone down or?
Yes, the overall impervious area associated with this has gone down. And in addition, all of the impervious area under this application was within the limits of there's no area that was added and subtracted. We just raised the area from the south.
Excuse me.
So we also have a soil erosion and sediment control plan prepared in 2 phases. As discussed, the Aldi is under construction and would be complete potentially prior to work beginning on this site. So soil erosion and sediment control measures would be being along the wetlands to the south, as well as to the inclusive of the wetland pocket in the southwest corner of the property. All of those would include silt fence with hay bale backing along the wetlands and the toe of the slope. An anti-tracking construction entrance would be provided at the end, kind of the breaking point from when you leave the Aldi parking lot and up over to the self-storage facility. Again, as a phase 2, as the site comes online, we'd also include, silt sacks in it, the catch basins for inlet protection, as well as maintain the silt fence that they go back on a regular basis, as well as a temporary sediment basin on the southern side of the building during construction. Quick overview on the utilities. The utilities the septic system would remain in the location of previously approved. It will still require approval from the Monroe Health Department. It's under review, which would be located in the front of the building. So again, outside of the upland review area, the remainder of the utilities, the electric, gas, telecommunication, would be extended. They will be stubbed in this island of the Aldi construction, and then they will be extended to the building from that island here. We also prepared a landscape plan as part of this application. All of the disturbed areas will be reseeded to propose stabilize the rear slope. As part of this application, in addition, as part of the planning and zoning requirements, there are 2 rows of evergreens along the border of residential property. So that is our western and northern borders of the property. There's 2 rows of evergreen here. Again, as we've been able to revise this and change the grades in the back from the previous application, we're able to provide more of a slope to provide those plantings along the western side and the northern side as well. We also propose additional plantings along the bottom side of the wall here along the wetlands. Those are consistent with wetland plantings in order to be hospitable to the environment that we are putting them in. You will notice one thing on this application is that was previously included in your set was the location of a dumpster pad on the southern side of the building. Based on working with this tenant, they have removed that and only provide refuse for the office space of the building. So there would be no exterior dumpster enclosure. Essentially, all of the people visiting and using the site do have to remove all of their own trash from the site. So there would be no trash or waste, which is typically common with a facility like this. as a lot of people aren't necessarily unpacking when they get to the storage facility. Yeah. Yeah. So the trash would be located internal to the site. Again, as mentioned, previous application that was before you was for the medical office building. So we have prepared some overlay exhibits just to kind of help explain and show where the wall was previously located, and then where the parking lot extended to before. So you can see on the southern side, that dashed line here would be the reinforced turf for emergency vehicles. That is much further north than the previous wall pavement locations, as shown here in red. We do, in order to accommodate this drive, we did need to relocate this wall along the eastern side of this project area.
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. I'm going to apologize. Ryan is not here, our secretary. I do need the public notice read into the record, which I did put at your seat. Is there any way we can?
Start with that.
Yes.
Read it now? The property owner, regarding notice of public hearing, property address 205 Spring Hill Road.
I would like 205 Monroe Turnpike, sorry.
Both the ones on the page.
They both happen to be 205. Try that again, 205 Monroe Turnpike. Proposed project, request to modify permit to change new building from office to self-storage, including revisions to grading, wall location, and drainage improvements. 205 Monroe Turnpike LLC owner, Solely Engineering LLC representative. Anything else?
If you're through the majority of it, then I think we're okay.
Well, the date of the hearing is
Yes, keep going.
March 13th, 2024 at 7 PM. In person and electronically via Zoom meeting. Application number IWC-2018-07-E1, file number 1145. Good.
Okay, thank you very much. Apologies.
The other thing that I did want to go over with this commission, at the request of the commission, we did add an additional alternative which showed, if the wall were to have stayed, it significantly reduced the building size. And this unfortunately was not we were not able to pursue this due to the financial burden of shrinking the building here. But I know the commission did ask to see.
Did we get a piece that on
They did
page?
get a copy. Yeah.
It was in the last packet, the packet that was delivered Friday. It wasn't a full size. Was it a full size? But it was separate.
If he has it.
That's, what would the difference be?
I believe it reduced the footprint of the building over 7,000 square feet, and then ultimately the 4 stories to the building.
No, I see it. I see it. How much does that wall have to move?
So the wall has been moved 12 feet closer to the wetlands. But again, we were able to reduce the length of the wall as part of this. So rather than the wall continue all the way around towards this wetlands pocket, we are able to back here. We are able to terminate that wall much sooner here, rather than continue that around to this area as well.
Well, why don't you finish up and then we'll come back to some questions.
So I think that's the end of our presentation. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Okay.
So what's I have a couple of questions. So the area that you have on page. See if I can find that the red eye. Yeah, the areas that on the landscape plan. The areas that are, on the southernmost side that are, I guess, a checker box type. Oh, the red and black. It could be on the map too, but that's what I'm looking at.
EX-3 is your page number?
Yeah, right there, that one. So the south of the building, there, that area that's all checked, that's got the square boxes and all that. What is,
So that would just be reseeded,
Okay.
got? Right, all right.
with our erosion control mix, on the greater one slopes.
And what portion of the wall is already constructed? I drove there, around there today, just to reorientate myself to it, and it looks like most of it is.
The wall's constructed to about here. Right around the bend here. The
Okay.
wall's been installed with, so the wall will need to, there will be some additional block placed on the wall from what you've seen today, when you were out there.
Wall's built in your proposed,
Correct.
on
Yeah.
this proposed,
Correct,
not built to the previous plan?
correct.
Wait.
They came in for a field change.
We did bring this to staff as a field change, understanding that we would be before you again, for the, storage, facility. In order to stabilize the area, that was,
So
Okay.
you didn't completely build out the second half of it.
no, there will be additional blocks added to the wall in order to bring up the elevation to accommodate the storage. But ultimately, working with the town engineer, and town staff, we determined that it would be, there was concern regarding placing the wall, in the previously approved location. And then modifying and removing the wall should the, proposed location, be necessary in the future. So through working with staff, we did request a field change in order to do so.
So what we allowed them to do is not build the extent of the wall, but they were able to build a portion of the transition with the understanding that if they didn't get approved for anything, they weren't going to be able to continue. So they do still have additional work to do based on the approvals that would be granted by P and Z and wetlands. But we did not want them installing a wall that has, additional structural components associated with it to then just take that all out to try to retroactively go back and do it in between. So we kind of met on a compromise somewhere in the middle where we let them do a field change to do a portion of it with the understanding they would complete the rest of it once they got the approvals.
It's kind of preempting our approval of this through
It-
staff.
What staff had decided was the structural integrity, the potential compromising of the structural integrity by asking them to rip out a wall and build it back in was not worth them installing it exactly per the old approved plans. And they needed to at least do a portion of that wall and able to do the construction they needed to do for Aldi. So we met them somewhere in the middle.
When we drive by, it looks like there's no room for the thing to go.
Right.
It's already 12.5 feet away from what we approved. And my question is, why, it looks like you have, I'm not gonna scale it, but like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 or 8 parking spots on this corner, on this other, oh, this is the other one that, the other one. Sorry, overlay the option on top of.
Previously approved.
We're gonna look at it, so it's, but basically, what, oh, no, I can see it here, it's one. Two. Goes. So basically. You would need like a 45 by 12-foot, 12.5-foot jog in that building. To get your driveway through. And not change
If you were to cut into the, like,
Yeah, just take one,
just jog in this way, then out.
yeah, so maybe you're saying
So
it's
you-
12.5 feet. So I know those units are go by 10 feet or nominally, or they could be 2.5 feet nominally. And they could have you know, a very, very small portion of it adjusted on the plan and not have this, you know, this change infringement on the wetland. You
So,
don't have to cut off the whole building. You're shutting it off the whole thing, the whole thing.
well,
the front and
again, in
back.
order to work with our tenant and the way that these facilities are designed with kind of the square boxes inside of them, and the hallways associated with them, in order for them to move forward, it would have had to have been a reduction, in that entire side. Because the cost associated with that southern wall is partially buried because there is a basement. So in order to make the financially viable to have that basement and have that southern area, they needed the overall square footage. So while, yes, you could jog into here, you then still have a very expensive, portion of the southern building. So you would ultimately be left with cutting it completely off as shown on the alternate, because of the added expense to try to bury a partial basement on a weird job.
And that's still a walkout at the bottom?
No,
How do they get out of the basement for electrical failure? Like, what's the egress?
there's a staircase, right in this corner, just off of the office that goes down to the basement.
There's not a,
There's
To the
no
ground
emergency egress, like pedestrian egress. We will be under review from the building department, but based on our architectural plans and their coordination of the building code, it was not required.
um, yeah, that's good. Anybody else? Ready, close? Anybody want to do?
Well, we want to talk staff, so staff comments, so they did do a resubmission in order to meet our initial review. Staff did reviews it, as it was mentioned. From my perspective, it's a decrease in impervious surface. The limit of disturbance, although it does is modified a little bit of where it physically sits on the land. It is a net zero as it relates to total impervious surface. The planting plan is comparable. Obviously, it's a little different because of the way that the parking was located previous to that. Some of the planting islands and things of that nature around the perimeter. But it's definitely additional vegetative cover. And they're putting, from a planning and zoning perspective, they're putting the additional plantings where we want to see it, which is really to help screen from the residential view areas. And town engineer DeMayo's on as well. If he wants to review, he has a few outstanding comments, although my understanding is they are minor in nature.
Yeah, so based upon my review of the overall application, the two big things that I note, especially in terms of stormwater and water quality, the footprint of the building is significantly bigger and therefore a lot less parking, which is more favorable for water quality purposes because the roof runoff is, you know, considered clean in comparison to the pavement. So that's an added bonus, plus the removal of existing or well, the removal of proposed pavement as well. So there's less impervious. So from a storm drainage, that's better and that allows for more greenscape. I have two outstanding, very minor comments, which I'm comfortable with being a condition of approval because they don't change the design. One is an additional silt sack in an additional catch basin. And then the second one is a little bit of regrading of the swale in the rear of the building. Just near the property line, which it looks like on this plan, it looks like he already started doing. So, but those were just the two main conditions or concerns that I had for this application at this point.
I have another question. So this emergency path that goes down around the south side of the building,
Yes.
what are they gonna do from that side?
It allows a fire truck apparatus additional reach to this section of the building. Ultimately, because of the location of this wall and here, a fire truck parked here would not be able to access this side with the ladder. However, if you do provide this access drive, it does give them additional access to that.
But you're also making it 24 feet wide.
In order for the truck to make the turnaround bend, and then it would have to ultimately reverse out of it.
Right. There's no turnaround.
Correct.
How long is that
24
length?
feet?
So in order, so you,
There's
again,
like 10 firefighters there. You know, hey, they're watching every corner of those $1 million trucks. You need 24 feet to back out of there?
in order to make this turn work, based on truck turning maneuvers, we did need the additional width. Additionally, having reinforced pavers, so when the fire truck parks and they extend the outriggers, those being on the reinforced would be much more suitable than having those directly on the ground surface.
Right. But that's when it's parked on the backside on a level spot.
Right here,
They don't do it on the hill.
correct.
So
They
what
park
I'm saying is why couldn't that, it seems like you would still be able to get that fire truck back there to do that without having to get that much closer to the wetlands. I mean, I don't see any diagram of the truck in there or anything else, but the other thing is, so that's just for firefighting from the outside of the building.
Correct,
So again, there's no
Building will
egress, there's no safety egress there.
correct.
So they're not coming around to get people out of the basement or anything because there's no way to get out of the basement, which I don't understand how they don't have one at daylight. All right, that's my only comment because I was thinking about it, like if it's not two-way traffic, that's what it was originally designed for. And that's what you originally needed. Or even the last time you were here, it was for unload, it was an unloading
It's
area.
not loading area, correct.
So now it's only one vehicle that has to get down there.
Yeah, unfortunately, the size of the fire apparatus is what led us to having to require the 24 feet of that.
Is that 24 feet a requirement or is it a nice to have?
So we found that was a requirement based on the truck turning simulations. There's no written code requirement from the fire marshal themselves, or
It is common though. I will tell you, when you're just dealing with circulation, it's usually 20 feet. If you're dealing with a building that has multiple stories that you're going to potentially need apparatus that has outriggers, 24 feet is really the safe distance to do it. So that's standard.
All right, I don't have anything else.
One item I would like to do is just read the exhibits into the record so that we have them. Which is, most of these have already been talked about. The original application and plan set by Solely Engineering dated 1/16/2024. The preliminary review by town WEO Cheryl Valerie dated January 30th, 2024. Budding municipal referral notice by Cheryl Valerie dated January 30th, 2024. Engineering comments from town engineer dated 2/6/2024. A response to preliminary review by Solely Engineering, including documents and drawings dated March 5th, 2024. Public hearing signage by Solely Engineering, document dated March 11th, 2012. And town engineer comments dated March 11th, 2024.
Ready to vote?
I do have a question if that's possible.
Yeah, yeah.
Have we talked to the fire marshal about the actual width? Have we had them go out there?
We have not submitted a plan to.
Look at that?
However, that will be looked at during the planning and zoning application.
Okay.
It gets circulated to the fire marshal for his review.
Yeah, public comment time. Anybody in the public hearing chambers want to speak in opposition to this application? Anybody here want to speak in favor of the application? Raise your hand. All right, come up to the podium, state your name and address, and make sure that microphone is just turned towards your mouth.
Hi, I was told to come to this meeting. I was gonna get a letter in the mail and to talk about what I needed to talk about. I only got one. I'm hearing there's was a letter for wetlands.
Right, within a 500-foot of,
I live right there.
100 feet.
I live,
oh, I'm sorry, you didn't state your name and address for the record.
Robert Zumbo, 330 Spring Hill Road.
Okay,
My lot is right in front of the building that they're considering putting up, and neighbor sitting next to me over there, to the left of that. We have concern that this building is going to be monstering over our house.
that's a planning and zoning matter.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get notified for the wetlands as well. But we're not gonna be able to even comment on the height of the building.
Okay, when will that meeting be?
Will be publicly noticed. If there's a,
We do not have one set for Monroe planning and zoning
what's
currently.
that?
We do not have a public hearing set for Monroe.
But don't you have to,
We're waiting to close with wetlands.
right, so it's, so they don't have,
So at the very least, depending on what happens here tonight by this commission, I'm sorry, you can continue.
no, actually, I was just thinking Matt should have came up to the microphone to make that response.
Agreed. So, what the applicant's engineer had said is that they have not, planning and zoning has not set a public hearing for this application. So dependent on what happens, tonight or in the following meetings, if there is an approval, they will put together an application for P and Z. When they submit it to us, because it's an amendment to a special exception permit, they do have to go for a public hearing automatically. It's about a month after they give us a submission that we'll be able to notice it twice in voices, send out all the letters, and it'll be, so at the very earliest, it would be in April. But dependent on when they actually submit, it'll be somewhere April.
Yeah, when you told me to come to this meeting, that's where I thought. Okay. Good enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt, why don't you just, so we have a clean record, just come up there, state your name again and tell us that you guys have not applied to P and Z yet.
So Matt Baldino, from Solar Engineering, get the record. We currently do not have an application into Monroe planning and zoning. So that would be the next step, would be to have an application submitted and public hearing would be up for that.
Eddie Miller, 324 Spring Hill Road. Pretty sure this is relevant to what's going on here. Just a curiosity, do you know what the
Speak
All right.
up.
is there any idea if this water mitigation that they have for the site, their runoff, because of the elevation to how my yard is a big decrease? Is any of that going to get pushed into my area just with how they have the setback? And I'm sure there's going to be a runoff. I know a lot of it's obviously going to be mitigated to the sewer system. Is there anything that I have to be aware of or think about in the future to where this water might run in my direction just from the natural landscape?
Okay. Matt, you could address that. I know the answer, but I'll let you do it.
Yep. So again, for the record, Matt Baldino from Solar Engineering. I did want to just confirm so we know the properties. I believe we're talking about properties up here. So, okay, so all of the stormwater will be collected from all of the paved areas. Additionally, stormwater will run off overland onto the pavement here and then into a vegetated swale along the back property line. That will then be collected. The swale will be collected and discharged over land to where it currently discharges. All of the stormwater, on site in the parking lot, as well as the roof, will be collected in a underground retention system on the south side of the building, which will ultimately be discharged, to a level spreader here, and to the wetlands where it currently is, all flowing over land to.
How slow? How slow is he? What is he?
Guys, you gotta be on the microphone.
So the, I believe the applicants. So
The topography of my yard is quite a high elevation change from the beginning of the yard heading east. It dramatically dips to the.
Towards this project?
It's kind of runs in line with it. When it was, before it was disturbed, it was kind of uniform. And through the different work of the soil, it's kind of gone up, down. Now that's, the bottom of the yard is 12 feet high, sometimes higher than mine, since they go down as they're working with their soils.
Isn't there a burn, almost like a cut along the whole back of that property?
right here, correct.
Grade cut. So
Yep,
there's
again.
no way.
So again, Matt, I'll give the record. So there is a 5-foot grade change from this corner of the property down here. Again, all of this will slope, about half of this will slope down into the parking lot, the other half will slope to the back of the site, and then into the vegetated swale. But this will remain, again, under construction. There has been some grade change here as part of that, in order to stockpile, and remove, some of the materials. As we mobilize on site, again, under the final condition, this will be restored as a 5-foot, again, and there is a landscape buffer here of 2 evergreens that will ultimately also be, located along this area here. But again, ultimately about 5 feet here, down to about, even with the first floor elevation over here. And then on this side, we're talking, but all of the stormwater discharge is about 20 feet lower than the elevation of the finished floor here.
Thanks, sir.
Anybody else in the chambers tonight want to speak in favor of this application? Anybody want to speak about this application in general nature? Anybody out, you put are there folks online?
Yes, there are.
Anybody online, for tonight's hearing want to speak in favor of this application, please, unmute yourself and state your name. Anybody online want to speak, did I say opposition or favor? Anyone want to speak in opposition to who's online want to speak in opposition to this application? Please unmute yourself and state your name. Anybody online want to speak about this application in a general nature? Please unmute yourself, state your name. You guys are ready to close?
Thank you again for your time. We believe answer the questions for the commission as well as, for the public tonight. We would request to close the public hearing.
In the close, move to deliberation. All right, I'll just go, Eric, I was looking this way, Eric and Rick, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Now,
You get it next. Answer your question, right?
yeah,
2,800 vehicles per day.
okay.
That's for the DOT.
Thanks, just for scoping it, that's all.
Yeah.
All right, IWC 2024-01 file 1472, 205 Spring Hill Road. Proposal to construct 31,200 square foot industrial office building, including associated parking, drainage improvements, and expansion of wetland within 100-foot upland view area. EPS 205 Spring Hill Road LLC owner applicant. Solar Engineering LLC representative. I'll read in the record. Notice of public hearing property address 205 Spring Hill Road, proposed project, proposal to construct 31,200 square foot industrial office building, including associated parking, drainage improvements, and expansion of wetland within 100-foot upland view area. GPS 205 Spring Hill LLC owner applicant, Solely Engineering LLC representative, date of public hearing March 13, 2024 at 7 PM via in-person and electronically via Zoom meeting. Application number IWC 2024 -01 file 1472. Location of meeting 7 Fan Hill Road, Monroe, Connecticut, Town Hall, Council Chambers, and Zoom. This is a hybrid public meeting to be held at Monroe Town Hall, 7 Fan Hill Road, the council chambers, and utilizing electronic equipment. This meeting may be assessed by the public either in person or electronically in real time pursuant to Connecticut Law, Public Act 12-2. All participants may attend in person or remotely by, do I read the whole thing out? Kathleen, that whole web address? Yeah, okay. HTTPS:// I don't know if that's.
I can't remember if we do that.
I didn't do it last time, so.
You say the web, yeah, that web address.
Well, you are, okay. Well, this is the, who's gonna use? US 06 web.zoom.us. Then the ID, I guess. No, am I supposed to be reading it? I'm still not sure. Keep reading this?
Yeah, read as much of it as you can. Yeah, I don't know where you guys have normally started and stopped, to be honest. I will get clarification for the next meeting.
Okay. I'm just gonna read the whole thing.
Ryan is missed. It's
the most painful thing I've ever read. It feels like one long word.
It is.
HTTPS:// US 06 WEB.zoom.
I don't think you need to read that. You can just say the, yeah,
This is all right, this dress that I'm looking at,
as noted on the agenda.
hit the camera. No. No. Computer or tablet or smartphone on this link or via phone at 1-929-205-6099, meeting ID 825-3120-1869, passcode 569033. As part of this public hearing process, you or your representative have the right to appear at the hearing and be heard, or you may submit written information related to the application prior to the hearing date. Okay.
Good evening, members of, members of the commission. My name is Monroe. I am a senior project manager with Solely Engineering, office at 501 Main Street in Monroe. I am a professional engineer and a professional traffic operations engineer. So I'm here before you tonight representing GP 205 Spring Hill LLC for a proposed 31,200 square foot warehouse storage building at the rear of the property at 205 Spring Hill. Go to existing conditions. So as you can see here, the total property itself totals about 7.1 acres. About 3.3 acres is located the northern portion in Monroe, with the remaining 4 acres, so 3.8 acres located in the town of Trumbull. It's bound by commercial uses on the south side, or commercial and industrial uses on the southwest. The east sides and residential uses on the north side. And access is provided via Spring Hill Road, which is the road that runs just to the south of the yellow property line you see there. So the Trumbull Monroe town line kind of bisects the property almost in half. As you can see, that large rectangular building, that's the home of Trumbull Printing Company in the middle of the property line there. So the town line kind of runs through the northern portion of that building, about 400 to 500 feet from Spring Hill. That building, the existing building, about 58,000 square feet. on the site, and it's about 63 parking spaces, right now, and it's going to be contained in the town charter. There are 0.06 acres of actual wetlands on site and about 1.6 acres of upland review area. So the site plan before you tonight proposes 31,200 square foot warehouse storage building with a small office space up in this top right corner. Over here, there's also 2 proposed loading docks for a full-size truck and 40 total parking spaces located in a linear pattern adjacent to the building and then on the opposite side of this driveway. Asphalt curbing, that's a bit curbing proposed along the limits of the parking lot. This plan before you impacts 0.05 acres of wetlands, which is actually a man-made stormwater pond over time with growth. It's actually classified as a wetland at this point, but it is a man-made local feature. And then there's also about 0.57 acres of upland review area to be disturbed, and it's all contained within the town of Monroe. For reference, this is the town line right here. And from the printings is from here. So we did look at a couple alternatives, which should have been in our engineering memo to everyone, I believe. The first alternate was a larger warehouse building located kind of further. So plan, the right side of plan is south. So kind of on the south side of the undeveloped portion of the property with the parking located north. This would place the building basically right on top of that 0.06 acre wetland pocket. So there would be direct filling of wetlands with this option. We'd also have to resort to some type of underground detention because it wouldn't leave us much room for any type of natural stormwater feature above ground. We did also look at a second alternate where with a larger building located on the north side with the parking located on the south side of the building, kind of in between both those structures in order to kind of make the parking work. Again, the stormwater pond wetlands feature would need to be filled to kind of accommodate that as well, to provide adequate parking for the facility. So if we go back, we ended up with this option with a smaller building footprint where we could put the parking on the top here and basically leave the stormwater pond, do some plantings there to kind of spruce it up, and leave an above ground, more natural way of attenuating stormwater runoff from the site. In terms of the wetlands filling and the need for underground detention, both of these alternates were determined to be not prudent nor feasible. I'll walk you through grading, drainage, stormwater management quickly. So grading was designed to mimic existing conditions. The existing pond, if you can kind of follow my outline here, is kind of contained within this limit here. We're expanding the pond to about twice, a little bit more than twice the size of the existing pond in order to capture the increase and runoff generated by the increase in impervious area. And by expanding the pond, we're able to attenuate flows and reduce flows flowing off the site to the south over here. So the building areas, as James mentioned before, a cleaner area, technically clean runoff. So those would be captured by a series of roof leaders, piped directly to the pond here. There'll be a series of catch basins to catch flow from the parking area on the east side of the building on the top. Those will be treated by a hydrodynamic separator before flowing into the pond. And then the truck well itself will also have catch basin at the bottom, which would be runoff be treated by a hydrodynamic separator again before flowing into the ponds of water. Ultimately it's clean before it makes its way into this wetland area that we're going to be enhancing and expanding. And then ultimately runoff flows through an outlet control structure to mitigate flows before it flowing to the south. And everything was designed in accordance with the 2000 Connecticut DOT drainage manual, the town of Monroe stormwater regulations, and the 2004 Connecticut stormwater quality manual. We have a two-phase soil erosion sediment control plan, went through briefly. So existing conditions just account for basically the clearing that's going to be needed to prep the site for construction. A couple of temporary sediment traps with divergent swales to get the water to drain there, so all the soils could settle out before kind of overland flowing out of the pond there. We have a stockpile area, construction entrance, riprap stone construction entrance, and then to protect the wetlands, silt fence with a hay bale backing along the wetlands. Limits here, and then on the low side slopes of the property also silt fence, prevent sediment migration offsite. And then as part of phase two, we'll be implementing the same measures as in phase one, only we'll also have inlet protection for the stormwater bases that will be installed in in closer proximity to where the existing bases are as well. As far as utilities go, the site will be fed by public utilities from Spring Hill Road. Unfortunately, there is public sewer in Spring Hill Road, but because we're in Monroe, we cannot tap into the town of Trumbull system, so there will have to be an on-site septic system, but with the exception of that, everything will be public utilities, water, and gas and electric. As far as landscaping goes, we have a pretty hardy landscaping plan. Anything disturbed will be replanted with a seed or control nets. We have pockets of plantings, shrubs and trees, little islands on the parking lot, jungle, evergreen, stream trees adjacent to residences on the north side, I think we're laying over here, and then pretty substantial wetlands plantings within the buffer and within the pond itself as well, and of course some screenings of dungeon evergreen screenings there too. The goal is always 80% native species and drought tolerant, to the greatest extent that we can. Just kind of a zoom in here of the wetlands mitigation planting plan, if you will. You can see if you run the numbers, there's probably over 400 plants that are proposed in here. Mix of wetland shrubs, wetlands trees, and a number of herbs to kind of take root and improve the quality of these wetlands here at the bottom. And a wet mix, like a low maintenance wet mix seed that naturally grows in wetlands that kind of limits the need to maintain. And I think with that, Kathleen had some comments. We did go out. These were submitted yesterday, so I'm not sure if everyone has seen them. I'll just talk through a couple of the small changes that we did submit yesterday. We went out, I think we flagged 15 trees that are about 30-inch caliper or greater. The majority of these will need to be taken down to account for the development, but there are 4 or 5 along the perimeter here. We're going to do our best to try to keep those as part of the development and maintain them in their natural state. We may be able to, during construction, if we can, previously the possibility to maintain these two as well. Maybe one of these guys back here. And high level, we did submit a lighting plan. Not necessarily sure it's under wetlands purview, but just a couple of fixtures in the parking lot, LED, energy efficient, dark sky compliant light fixtures here, and with the goal to not have any light trespass over the property line. And for what it's worth, I just wanted to show the building to everybody. In my mind, it's one of the nicest industrial buildings I've seen. But like a metal siding, metal clad roofing, glass facade here, and with the entrance and like the office conference room space would be, and some large windows to let us actually like top. And that's all I got. If anyone's got any questions, we're more than happy to answer.
Yeah, Clever.
Yeah, just ask you why you didn't consider moving the warehouse more towards the northwest, towards 28 Hickory Lane, which is, I believe, open space, there's some open space out to the town of Monroe.
Yeah.
So why didn't you consider moving it away from the wetlands a little bit more?
So I think in order for this building to fit and be able to have a path of access around the wetlands pocket, the parking lot kind of had to be located on the north side because that's where the existing drive aisle.
But take the building and move it west. It's about an 8 foot, there's,
Oh, we can't, it's a setback point. It's a 50-foot setback.
okay, I saw the 50 feet.
There's a huge gap, there's a 50-foot setback.
I saw 50 feet and I was like, what's?
Yeah, I'm sorry, no, I think the standard setback is 25 and a budding residential needs to be 50. Yes, ideally, we would have loved to push it over further, but we can't.
Sorry, that was a no-brainer, but I just,
No, that's okay.
it didn't make sense to me,
No,
so.
no problem. I should also mention, we did respond to James' engineering comments on March 4th, and I did say we had made a response to Kathleen's comments, and we submitted those yesterday.
And in the applicant's defense, they submitted their comments late because I submitted my comments late. So it wasn't because they didn't return the comments in a timely manner. They returned it in a very timely manner.
I guess I should note for what it's worth, a couple of Kathleen's other comments, these are not jurisdictional wetlands. It's a man-made feature, and there's no filling proposed, there's an expansion of the wetlands proposed. And then there was a comment about just some more detail on the temporary deer fencing. That's so when the wetlands are being established, no creatures are going in there and kind of eating it. And then we do have an arborist and a landscape architect on staff. So when we think it's established enough, we can tell them about. I think that's pretty much the extent of some. Again, there was a bunch of certifications about impacts on the town of Trumbull, but everything's in the state. On our side, the site, nothing's going to flow to Trumbull into their system, brought to their properties.
You all set? Yeah, thank you.
I'm just curious if James has any questions or concerns.
Yes, sir. So my revised comment letter has not been able to get out yet. However, one of my concerns previously was the location of the underground utilities and the potential conflicts. So the applicant has since revised that and put yep, okay. So now, in an effort to eliminate, now it's near the loading dock. However, I have some additional concerns with that. My concerns are that the trucks are going to have enough space in that area. Be with the gas meter and electric meter on the side of the building, and then the distances required by those utility companies in terms of the bollard placement. So my comment is basically just going to be for them to maybe take another look at that again. Just because I did speak with the building inspector and we're just a little concerned. But ultimately that should hopefully push any additional disturbances away from the regulated area. And either way, it's underneath pavement. The only other outstanding thing that I have on my desk is finalizing the bond amount. So that just is not confirmed at the moment.
And we did submit.
They did submit it. It's under my review. I just haven't approved any number at the moment.
And for what it's worth, they have hired a contractor to get some preliminary estimating together, and their recommendation was to locate utilities to this side of the building. We typically wouldn't, but they thought that was appropriate for there, but we could certainly look into that and address the comments and find the best solution for this.
Yeah, and Matt, while I got you, just the one addition, or sorry, not Matt. You're not Matt. Sorry. Wrong solely engineer. One of my concerns was also that the 2 meters are in between 34 and 45 feet away from the loading dock. So my other concern is what happens when that truck driver tries to get out of his truck. You know what I mean? So it may be fine on that side of the building, but it may need to shift, closer to the front of the building or something like that. It's just take another look at it. I don't know what's happening on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, there may be ability to cut back a couple of windows here. I mean, ultimately what it came down to is they really like these windows. We have to push them further, but I think for practicalities, if we need to remove 5 panes of windows and push it closer, I think
Yeah,
that's.
because even in that rendering, look where the truck would be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's right where the meters would be. So, with the bollards there, is there going to be enough room? That type of thing. So,
Yeah, we could also maybe potentially put it over on this side. I know they don't really want to see it in the front, but it is an industrial building. It's not gonna be getting, visitors. It's just gonna be people that work there, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Also,
Anybody on the left? Yes? No. Chris?
I'd like to read the exhibits to the record when you're.
So this is a situation where the trucks are going to pull in north and then make like a reversing left-hand turn around the windows so they can see out the driver's side mirror, right?
Yeah, that's
The
right.
truck's gonna get into that dock. They're gonna be pulling in across the face of the building, back in like that, right? So, and what's the distance from that corner to that, electrical meter?
So we provided, it's actually 40-foot wide drive aisles. And then from the corner to you're talking about to the transformer?
Yeah, like usually there's simulation paths they show.
Yes,
I was wondering if that,
it is, I don't have the full, engineering report.
because those are also parking spaces.
No, so the 40-foot width was to allow that truck to make the movement without encroaching into the parking space. If someone does have their packet with them, I could point you to it. I just don't have the full engineering.
Oh, there you have
There's a
it.
truck turning figure in there. Yeah, normally we wouldn't propose 40 feet, but in order for the truck to make it, we had to. Normally we would hold about 30 to 35 for an industrial.
Here,
I mean, if that would, again, would be reviewed by, the fire marshal and fire chief.
Right. I'm just wondering if if there would be a potential for a curb hop right there, trying to get, because granted, there's windows in the building, but if it fits I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
What's the potential use already identified yet?
We're actually working with Bruce Wetland's team to try to figure out some tenants for the building. Could be a single tenant, they could divide the space up into 3 parts. There's 3 roll-up doors in the front. So it's just gonna be a storage warehouse type of user. Obviously not for, some of the size wouldn't be for like a residential, like a commercial tenant, maybe somebody on Trefoil Drive needs some additional storage space for those industrial users. Just like a larger storage area. The thought is not for like any hazardous material storage or anything like that.
It's not being pre-prepped for any type of.
No type of manufacturing. It's just strictly storage, which is why the ceiling height's about 30 feet or so they can do some racking.
it's not being used by Trumbull Printing.
They're staying in there. Yeah, I guess you'd qualify that as more of a manufacturing use for it. It's strictly warehouse storage.
That means it can only be divvied up into 3.
Into 3, no more. Yeah, and that would be, if you draw the lines, essentially a third and a third.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
That's why they left the 3 door, just to give some flexibility for this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then. Can you find the truck route?
Yeah. That's what I'm looking at.
Oh. Okay, I'm good with that part. Over here on the outlet control structure for the, that's a the pond that's take wet? No
It's
one's-
gonna be, yeah, it's, groundwater is about, about 2 feet above the bottom. So based on the seasonal water table, it may dry out at some points, but we're assuming it's gonna hold about a foot for its movement. Yeah, which that's what it does now.
Right, so now you have this out of control structure that comes into us, like a splash pad area. Or, is that what that is? That-
Yeah.
but it's a bowl. It's not like a kickoff that continues spreading out from there. It's a bowl, because I see you have the 8-foot outlet, 8-inch outlet pipe.
Yeah, so the point is that there's no scour or no erosion when it comes up. That hole. There's also a small pipe that's coming in there from. We're trying to capture water. As best as we could, that's kind of flowing in the landscape areas on the north and west side of the building, so there's a little pipe here. That also comes in.
I saw the one to the level spreader.
Yeah, so
It's an 8-inch.
yeah, so the thought is, yes, it'd be there to reinforce so that there's no scour, or but it would function as splash pad, kind of attenuate any velocity coming out and avoid any type of.
So most of it is gonna fill in and spill out off the property. It will come into that splash pad.
That's what that's what it does. Right now, what it does is if that pond fills and then overflows the property to the south. So we're actually reducing those peak runoff flows to the property to the south. And this is all undeveloped. It's all
So that's like a high level overflow, and the 8-inch pipe is like another high level overflow.
Yes, yeah, there's that, and then there's also an emergency spillway as well. So you have three means of.
What's the emergency spillway?
Yeah, there's an emergency spillway over here as well, but. Per our calcs.
Oh, over the top.
It wouldn't engage to the 100%.
To that same.
Yeah,
Same splash
exactly.
pad.
Yeah, I mean, you'd need like a 500,000 year storm in theory, for that to engage, but we always put one in just in case.
And the inlet of the 12-inch and the outlet of the 8-inch, is that the same, or? I don't know if you have a page of those details. Apologize, not looking at it. Oh, it's, 321.5 and 321.5. So those are the same. So basically, anytime that. So basically, anytime that 12 inches from the detention pond is discharging at a splash pad, within a moment or a few moments, it's gonna go right into that 8-inch pipe. Is that the way it's designed?
So the water levels are around 319. The orifice in the outlet control structure is at 322. So the pond's designed to hold 3 feet of water before it starts to discharge on that.
Right, but I'm saying when it does,
Yeah.
the 8-inch flared end is the same elevation as the 12-inch flared end coming in.
Yeah, coming in, so the 8-inch flare that's coming from over here. And then the 12-inch is coming from the outlet control structure, which wouldn't kick in until this pond gets, 2 feet of water under normal circumstances, plus another 3 feet of water worth of runoff before that were to kick in. And that's basically the lowest point we can put on the site for a trade-off.
What about the soil types under that pond? Do we have any idea what they are and how much, like, you have, if it fills up in a rainstorm on the weekend, is it gonna be empty by Wednesday, or I mean, back down to the water table Wednesday? Like, what I get at is that if this pond starts to come out into this splash pad, which I don't see like a cross section on it, but is that immediately just gonna start flowing into that 8-inch pipe? I mean, they're the same elevation. So what happens if on the regular, you get a full half of an 8-inch pipe flowing out to that level spreader, right, at the far end of the property, you know, that could be a significant amount of water. So,
It would have to, if I'm reading you right, it would have to flow uphill to get to back up into here. This is pitched down. It's not.
No,
It's
sorry.
it's pitched down.
the outlet level spreader on the north, what, that'd be northwest corner, right? 874 linear feet is the ultimate last spot where the water is supposed to leave the property.
Oh, you're talking about over here?
Yes.
Oh, that's just, we just put a French drain there so that instead of water overland flowing out this way, it would be captured in a pipe and then directed this way before it leaves the property. Because right now, under existing conditions, nothing is flowing off the property this way. So we're trying to capture, the flow that's been getting directed this way as a result of the grading and then direct it
That's
back.
that's the level spreader, right? That's
Yeah, well, it's
it's outlet
a
control.
stone, it's a stone trench with just perforated pipe and then it flows.
But it's an outlet control structure. It's for outlet of water, not for collection of water.
Yes, it's.
So my question, so again, I'll start from the pond. The pond fills up,
Yeah,
comes out into this splash pad,
yeah,
right? River splash pad. On one side of the splash pad, there's an 8-inch pipe that is connected to that level spreader we just talked about. They're at the same elevation. So are we expecting 12 inches of water or a half pipe of 12-inch water splashing out of that splash pad and going off the property at that point? Or are we starting to fill in this 8-inch pipe?
No,
and dragging it over the other way?
no, this, I understand. No,
I
it's
just want to know where the path is and
where
where.
the path of water would be into the pond. Once it raises up three or 4 feet out here to this, flare down section and then ultimately offsite. Same thing with this thing here. This isn't at a point where it's so close to the property and you're talking about another 3 or 4 inch drop before it goes off. Gravity is gonna pull this water offsite, not back up and inundate this trench with water.
Back up, what do you mean back up?
Your concern is that water from this pond is gonna come and cause a drainage issue with this pipe. That wouldn't occur. Because the water is gonna discharge ultimately off the site before it gets back up to this pond, because
Well, then what's the point of that thing?
the point of what?
The level spreader?
It's because we're grading down from the side of the building, rather than having all the water just flow off onto the town of the
So it is then it's an inlet.
We're trying to.
Ask you if it was an inlet or outlet.
It's not a structure, it's a French drain, like maybe we should call it a French drain to show. Yeah, it's just meant there to stop water from flowing off, it's just to capture it.
I
and
didn't
redirect
read
it
that
so
part with my brain was looking at the elevation.
Sorry.
Just looked like it was.
Yes, this is not for discharge, water's coming in here, not exit. Sorry.
It's a collection point, not a discharge.
You go.
All right, never mind then. I don't think I have any. And that elevation in the pond, you said now is the water table? That is
Water
the
table
actual.
around 319.
That's,
And-
that's what's in, and that's exposed in that little pond now.
Yeah, I mean, there's seasonal fluctuations, when wetland scientists out there, it can kind of go lower, sometimes a little higher, we went out there a couple of days after we got that 2.5 inches of rain. It was high, and we went back on a couple of days later, and it was kind of back down, so we're fairly confident the water table's at that. 319 elevation, which is about 10 feet lower than the finished floor.
Okay.
So there shouldn't be any issues with.
Something to read about it.
The exhibits for this application include an application and plan set by Solely Engineering dated February 6, 2024. Town of Monroe engineer comment memo dated February 27, 2024. A response to engineering comments by Solely Engineering dated March 5th, 2024. Posting of the sign by Solely Engineering, date received March 6, 2024, and response to P and Z comments by Solely Engineering, including a response letter and plans and other supporting information dated March 12th, 2020.
You're ready to quote? Oh, we gotta do the public comment. Okay, get back to the. Definitely get a second. Anybody in chambers here want to speak in opposition to this application? Opposition?
Yeah.
Okay, come on, say your name for the record.
Hi, I'm Derek Kaufman. I live in 22 Hickory Lane, which would be where the circle is down below it to the left. A couple things, I just had a couple questions. I was under the impression that the area to the left of where the building is also all wetlands, and I didn't know if that was or wasn't. Well, I know it's wetlands. Well, I walk with my dog all the time. It's so like right below the circle.
Is that open space? What is that? It says town of Monroe open space.
Yeah, I don't know, it gets flooded all the time, so I assume nobody lives there.
500-foot opening page.
There is some,
What's your address?
22 Hickory Lane.
So you're, and what's, where is he, 28?
Can you go to the first picture of the overview?
Yeah.
I should.
Why don't they have a
oh, sorry, so sorry.
Or the one, it would be a little better to go to the other one. Yeah, so. We're actually together right there. Yeah, so that's my house right there. And then the part right below it is basically just flooded all the time.
Yeah, that, so the way, Keith, are you okay if I respond? So the way that we define wetlands is based on soils. And so the town of Monroe does have basically a general map that shows potential poorly drained soils.
Yeah.
And that is what's our indicator then to go out and to look at more information and things of that nature, and just based on, you know, things that you're saying. I will say that our GIS data does not show any potentially poorly drained soils in that areas. I'm not saying it doesn't flood. I'm just saying it wouldn't be enough for us to trigger. I don't know if you guys have done any additional investigation of just walking the site and looking over and seeing of that nature. But from our perspective, where they would come in to look at us, I don't see anything. Now, to the east of that, there is some potential for that, but I believe some of that may be based on the contours. I believe what would end up actually being wetlands is probably more than 100 feet away. And a lot of that, a lot of the items in that area are already pre-developed. And they're just really adding to that.
Yep. So I just wanted to also make sure I got an idea of where the line, I know this is a little bit easy, but it relates to wetlands. So the top left corner of this, if I were to tell you about the landscape, would you understand what I'm talking about? Have you been walking out there?
You do have.
Address us.
Dress up, if you need a picture on the map, they'll put it up, but you have to speak to us.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So there's like in the corner of where I assume this is, and I'm going based off rock walls, because I'm assuming that's usually around where it is. There's a big rock right there that leads right to the corner of the property, which would be the top left. And then if you follow that down towards Trumbull Printing, there's almost like this runoff that seems like it goes into the pond, which is, I'm thinking, what you're talking about. And you had mentioned with the question about where is it going to go? It's all uphill, all along that bottom side. It's all uphill except for that pond area that you were mentioning. So if you're saying it's going to run off, I don't really know where it's going to run off. I don't go there that far, but I was concerned about that.
It's running off the property line onto to the next, which is the same, it's the same water course.
Okay.
That's happening. They're just, you know, moving it through a bigger holding pond, so to speak, and.
So let's go to my biggest concern. So that I already mentioned that there's already a lot of water and flooding in that area. And again, sorry if I'm doing this, but I walk my dog through those woods all the time. So I'm there all the time. I see how it floods literally every day. So it's flooded right now. It's been flooded for weeks. Right where the property is about, can I use your mouse? About right here is all flooded, and it hasn't left for weeks. It's, you know, I don't know, like 2 or 3 feet of flooding there, and it's grown, and it got worse over the past couple of years. The reason I'm concerned is because I've already had to fill 2 sinkholes at my house because I have, coming from this part of the property, I have drainage that comes here. And then I also have the drainage of flooding through here, and it's sinking my backyard slowly over time, to which I have to keep refilling sinkholes. So if there's a property here that is also putting more water towards that flooding area, I'm just concerned I'm gonna have to fill more sinkholes and my property is gonna keep dropping. So that's my main concern, and I also thought that it was wetlands, so that's news to me now that it's not.
Well, I'm just saying our database doesn't show us that, but I would like the applicant to speak to that if the commission.
Let me just make sure that, I wanna get all my points so I can see talk.
Oh.
Is trouble printing still there? As in like they use it? Okay, hope they weren't there. The P and Z would be first off property value, right?
Yes.
Okay. And also just the amount of traffic that would be coming in through there, you probably don't have that, that's also P and Z. Okay, I'll leave that and.
But they will be coming in front of P and Z, so
Yeah.
it is, you know.
Okay. Yeah, all right, I'll end that, thank you.
I can, do you want me to address that first, or we want to wait for Mark?
Well, okay, you want me to respond to his comment?
Yeah, so I mean, just so we're, I don't know, you know, we've been out several times for perk tests and test pits for septic and for stormwater. We didn't see any real standing water other than what's in the pond there. The pond is kind of right at the beginning of this forested area down here. Water flows ultimately this way off-site and then into, I think Keith, you had mentioned, there's, you know, ultimately there's a stream and a creek that takes it, you know, further over here towards the west. So our property, there are some low points on the property, which obviously when we regrade the parking lot, we'll be taking care of some of that. But hydraulically, the water on our site flows this way, and the low point on the site is actually right here above trouble printing, not up here getting closer to the town of Monroe open space, and then this gentleman's property. So I'm not saying there's not, I just don't think the issue is coming from our property, because this is high here, this is low here. So we're, if anything, we would probably be capturing some of that water and having it, you know, dump onto our site and out. But our flow, if you look at the topo, starts here, ends down here, probably about 15 feet lower, and then ultimately off and into this water course over here. So I don't foresee us causing any additional drainage, but based on the top contour data we have, nothing from the site is flowing in that northerly direction. It's kind of flowing south, if you will.
All right. Did you guys, when you guys did test holes for the septic, did you do any other test hole?
We did test hole to verify where the depth of water would be, where we also found the same elevation.
Around the pond, you did test holes around the pond?
Yeah, around 15, 20 feet from the
Didn't do other than the footprint of the building?
We did not. We're waiting authorization. We're gonna be doing borings. I haven't gotten that far, but we're gonna do borings for geotechnical investigation.
Yeah, because I know that that's area.
They're gonna be, yeah, they may need some structural fill. Yeah, we're aware. You know, it's soggy. They may need some structural reinforcement there for the foundation. Yeah.
And there was stumps and all sorts of stuff were dumped there for forever and ever. And there was another landfill portion of the town. But it would only be, I would assume it would only be on the Trumbull. You're all in Monroe though.
We're all in Monroe. Yeah.
But I know I walked back there a couple of times too, because it connects to the back of, you know, the Swiss Army there. And there was a lot of, looks like it's not virgin back there, right? Like someone's been through there.
Yeah, it's been somewhat disturbed. I don't know if I can actually see if I can pull the contours here. So a little blurry, but I can just to speak to his concerns. So the grade up here on the top left corner is around elevation 333. And the elevation here when you go off site is 320 321. So grades are flowing from, and I know his property's over here to the west, but they're generally flowing down this way away from the property. You can even see the contour lines here. They're flowing down this way. Our water is not flowing off the site in that direction. The existing, hydraulics in the site, everything flows this way towards Trump, right to that pond.
What's your building FFP again?
19, so 329. 329, and the pond bottom is around 317. So you're around 330, 335 here, the pad, building would have to be at 320, and then the ultimate low point will be around, 329, and then the ultimate low point is around 320.
And that pond is solely for this project, nothing to do with the other buildings?
Correct. There is, so we accounted for, so we were before you for 307 a while back. The wetland over there overflows into a pipe, and then connects into here, but we have a known flow also modeled into the pond. So it's accepting some runoff from the soil, from the site to the north, and that's all that accounted for.
Let me get back to the pub. Anybody else in the audience here tonight want to speak in favor of this application?
He's in favor.
What? Opposite.
Yeah, kind of. Let's go general.
Okay, general is fine. You're the only person left.
Matt Lemieux, 27 Hickory Lane, Monroe, Connecticut. I just have a verification that actually works on this print. Is the property line and perspective of how everything, because I saw the measurements and everything. Is the black line supposed to be the stone wall on the property, or is it that hashed line up top, like the stone wall? So I'm just trying to gauge perspective where this is actually truly landing on the site.
Do you want to just try to point out, identify what he's talking about? I think you're saying it, either side of that hash line.
Yeah, so.
Well, I think that could be an easement line, but let them
So up here, I just don't know if this is, because like we all have like the whole stone walls.
Let me get him. Cut you off. So I think what you're referring to is, and this is rotated 90 degrees, so
Yeah.
your properties are up.
Actually, if you go up, I'm
Okay.
actually north.
Okay, you're okay.
Right.
So there's a stone wall basically on the limits of the property. And, basically our surveyors picked it up, it runs out almost exactly down the center of the stone wall.
But
So
that's something. I'm referring to one, there's one north that to me would indicate the property line or the property line. Right there, like kind of like where that hash is, only because I know it's halfway up my driveway. And reading the measurements. And that's what, I mean, I didn't know where things would fall. It was saying 54 feet from the wall going vertical. But horizontally, it also had on another drawing, I still have a print, 54 feet coming down south from them. But I'm not sure if it's the black line that you guys are referring to or the stone wall you were referring to in that measurement.
So this is all off of our property. Our property here.
Okay, so sorry, I was trying to verify, make sure.
Yeah.
So your property doesn't extend to the stone wall that one runs horizontally straight across.
Yeah.
So that's the one.
That's
206.
207.
Yeah. That's my clarification question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else in the chamber tonight want to speak about this application? Pretty sure that's a no. Online? Anybody online tonight like to speak in favor of this application? Please unmute yourself and state your name. Anybody online want to speak in opposition to this application? Please unmute yourself and state your name. Anybody online tonight want to speak about this application in general nature? Please unmute yourself and state your name. All right, I'll like there's anybody else. You read the exhibits, right?
Yes.
Just do me one more favor, go to the first or second, I think, the initial page in your presentation. Not that one, it would have been right there. Can you Can you zoom in to the building below, to the right? On that, or is that a fixed image?
Oh, I should.
I don't know what the hell's going on with his roof.
Oh, yeah, the alien symbols.
Was that?
The alien with symbols.
That looks like it's intentional, right?
Yeah, you're right. It looks like a fallout shelter kind of thing. I don't know what those are. I couldn't.
I know the guy owns that
I saw
building.
that too.
I never noticed it before. It looks like, yeah, he's like signaling the alien.
Yeah. No, I don't know what they are or what they're. But, maybe you can have some kind of trouble.
What?
You could have some ton of trouble.
Let's go
That's
out
on
there.
their side. I don't know what they are.
That was it. All right. As close as you can get. I'm curious. It's like really bizarre.
Yeah, that's as close as I
All
can.
right.
Yeah.
So anybody else, any other questions or stuff, Rick?
Yeah, so Keith, you've done a site walk there and you know what's going
No,
on?
I mean, I've just been back in all those woods. I lived on that street for a few years, so I know a lot of that stuff.
Right, and I don't think you want because you're in there, but I just wonder if a site visit would be appropriate to belay these concerns and see for ourselves.
I don't think there's much because it's not previously this, well, I think it was previously disturbed, but we wouldn't be able to tell because it was well over 20 years ago, because it was completely revegetated when I lived up the street in 2001. So that's 23 years ago. I mean, the only thing that pops into my head, but I'm pretty sure because all the topography's downhill, is where there's like a 2 or 3 foot pond, but it's been soiled, right? Got it.
Yeah.
Flagged.
Oh, yes, yeah, they were flagged by Bill Kenny Associates, in the fall. So the limits of. Can't get up here. I think, here we go. See this one here. You can see. Yeah, you can get it on this one. I'll zoom in for me. It just froze up.
I mean, just because the other thing being is, there's no really any wetlands on that site, right? Nothing's been locked. Except for the pond.
Except for the pond, yeah, and it's only, I mean, the pond is about 0.05. It's 1/20th of an acre, and then there's 1/100th of an acre, which is a spillover from 207.
You can see it from the parking lot.
Yeah, you can see, and there are,
Not giving you permission, but if you got lost and you had to go turn around and there, you go around the back and turn around.
I know it's the Monroe land we can go on without any problem, but
No, it's not. You can't really go without, I'm just saying it's a parking lot.
Are Monroe, the wetlands there? Not the wetlands, but
that's what the pond looks like.
uh,
Those are submitted yesterday, but that's some pictures of the pond. That's essentially the only.
I'm referring to the open space, town of Monroe open space there.
Oh, I don't care. That's different. That would be a different.
We're allowed to be on town of Monroe open space.
Yeah, you could do that all you want.
So if I happen to walk on your property, is that a problem?
Oh, I don't think so. I think we.
Yeah.
I think it would be okay.
Okay, but we're not scheduling a walkthrough, is what you're saying. You don't want to ask.
No, I have some concerns, that's all. If you have something else to say,
I just wanted to say, if,
I'm so sorry. You're gonna have to come up and speak into the mic.
yeah. The main
Yes, state your name and address.
Derek Hoffman, 22 Hickory Lane. Yeah, my main concern is just if it doesn't all flow down, because right to the left of the stone wall, it all shoots down, right? Like there's a giant drop off that shoots down towards the wetlands next to my house. So if it doesn't all go to the right towards that pond, I'm just concerned it's gonna keep going left and because just from the way I'm thinking about it, yeah, it might be a little bit elevated over there, but it's still gonna be like on a ledge, so I hope that I forget what you called that size that would lead down to the pond would do it, but I just don't want even more rain going down there than already is and just increase my suppose.
What it sounds like, I don't know what words, it sounds like when you said the left side wall, it sounds like there's a drop right off of our property that's making everything kind of flow towards him. That's on the town of Monroe's property, which we don't have the purview to do any. It's not under the scope of this application, nor do we have the ability to go do that in any kind of town property. I don't want to put James on the spot. Maybe there's something that can be discussed there, but it's just, we don't have the ability to rectify anything off our property closer to his. It sounds like that's where
So, but it sounds like you have some collection on the north side of the building already. Does it make sense to maybe increase that collection, make sure there isn't any potential?
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly increase the size of that trench drain area to make sure that there's no overlap. So it's capturing a very small, there's no paved portion that's flowing to the north side or page left of that building. It's simply just that little grassy area, which is about, a tenth of an acre or something like that. So there's not gonna be a significant amount of runoff, but we can certainly, if it appeases concerns, we can make that trench a little bit bigger and that pipe a little bit larger to try to capture, to make sure there's at least no runoff from our site contributing to the problem he's facing. But that's no problem.
Right, yeah, it makes sense. Increase that a little bit.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. Yeah, we can make the trench a little bit.
Concerns.
Yeah. Yep, that's fine.
The drainage collection over here, increase the pipe on this side. So anything that might potentially go over there, is getting collected.
We'll stop this before it gets there. Yeah, that's fine. We don't have problems with it.
You wanna call that out specifically?
Yeah, we're fine with that as a condition. We're fine with that as a condition.
I would like to hear James, if he would be okay with closing it. I believe some of his comments might require his permission.
I mean, in regards to my other comments, I already brought those up that I currently had. The only, and I don't have a problem if the commission wants to have that as a condition of approval to make that bigger. I have no problem looking at that when they resubmit. I will admit that there is not a lot of water going in that direction, as they mentioned, just due to the fact that all the building roof leaders are going elsewhere and the parking lot is going elsewhere. So it's just that 50-foot swath of grass. But yep, if they're agreeing to make it a little bit bigger, there's no concern from me.
Just that 8-inch, you're talking about that 8-inch outlet pipe getting bigger?
That or the curtain drain, whatever you want to call it, along that northern property edge. Maybe making that a little bit wider to make sure that it can adequately capture any water and it doesn't bypass it.
James, I think what we'll do is we'll make a little bit steeper grading on the north side of the building, so we can kind of swale it so that it doesn't run to the property edge. We have a low point 5 feet away from the property line, and then you have a little bit of height there. So we're capturing, we're pulling it away from the property, so we're creating a channel, and it doesn't ultimately get to the property. That sounds like the best way to handle it. We can certainly do that.
This is the part that's right up against the town of Monroe open space.
Yes.
It's not affecting any of the residences.
He's saying it sounds like there's drainage that kind of starts kind of right where our property line is at that wall and then floods towards it. So to try to give some reassurance, we could try to create, we can create a little swale, a little point that's off the property line to ensure water isn't flowing that way. We can make sure it doesn't get over the property line. We could do some slightly regrading and deal with it that way.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with that.
Anything else from anybody?
Good.
You ready to close? I'd like to make a motion to close this public hearing and move it to deliberations.
Motion to close.
Motion for Commissioner Lindstrom to close this hearing, move deliberations. I have a second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Sabia. Yeah. He's made two new names, make sure I get them right. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Here we are. Deliberation session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deliberations on completed hearings, clean items from this agenda as determined by the commission. We start with the old
I would like to, yes, if that's okay.
IWC 2021-09 A1 file number 1382-1271 Monroe Turnpike. Proposal to modify permit to increase number of residential units from 9.5, increase impervious surface, and add new septic area within the 100 upland review area. Bridge Builders LLC applicant J. Edward Associate LLC representative. Are you guys both still recused from this?
I'm sorry.
You both recused from this?
They'll abstain.
We're not
Because of what happened at the beginning.
So I don't know if they could have pulled it up, right? But
They could, we spoke a little about it previously. Yes, they both have the opportunity to catch up if they want to. That would require them feeling like they have done their due diligence to get the information. It would have required them to listen to the meetings and have all the materials. They have not done that. So unless you guys state otherwise, my understanding is they are both going to abstain from that vote.
I think we discussed it at nauseam before, so I'm okay with the change.
Yeah.
So I think he's got some questions or.
So at the last meeting, I did mention that I read something from Dr. Danzer. My confusion was that I had the environmental report and not the soil report in front of me. The soil report says that, from Dr. Danzer says that we're talking about that the soils are extremely stony in the watercourse and wetland areas. Very deep, somewhat poor, poorly drained soils. Very deep, poorly drained loamy soils. Very, very, very deep, very poorly drained soils. So Whitman, Leicester, Ridgebury series. My concern remains that we have 4 homes, nine septic fields, 6 septic tanks in the upland review area. I would have addressed him and told him that the applicant that I was impressed by their ability to shift and get 6 more homes in here to this. And I realize that this is, that there's past history. But I also came across Cheryl's request for alternative plans. Narrative explains the impacts to the wetlands to the company. At least 2, and that they would have less effect on the wetlands. So what I'm saying is that now they came up with the first section that had 19 homes in this phase 2 section. They didn't change anything in the wetlands area, and I get what you're saying. So I'm
just make
Yeah,
sure
go ahead.
that there's 4 homes in phase 1.
that's these, yeah.
And then before previously it was 19.
19
That was
here.
the balance of.
Now there's 25.
Now
Total.
Now that, yes.
Right.
Total on this side, I think is 21.
Okay, yeah.
25 minus 4. Okay, I thought, right. Just want to clarify.
Okay, but when I noted that there was 4 homes in the upper review area, 9 septic fields and 6 septic tanks, I'm referring to the whole. So my problem was that when they came to us initially, and I wasn't part of that, for the homes here, they showed 19, but they had these 6 were in. Why didn't they show an alternative plan that they got creative? They had the 19 homes, they could have had the 19 homes here without this.
It's a good question, but it's not relevant at this point.
I see that.
Because it's already approved at the 19.
I see that.
So
My problem now is that there's only 3 of us, and I wasn't part of the first part, so I'm not comfortable with
we can't change what was already approved. So there's,
Yeah,
no matter
I
what,
understand.
whether we all deny this, there's still going to be these in this spot.
Right.
They're not changing.
Right.
They've shifted slightly, but the impact is basically zero.
So then,
So the question is, are you okay with the addition outside that area? That's the question.
it's just not, I'm sorry, Carolyn, I don't mean to.
You can abstain if you would like to.
I believe that's appropriate, because, you know, on the other hand, let me say the other thing is, this is a restricted age community. Monroe needs restricted age communities. So I would tend to say, yeah, you know, we want this, but I also, you know, and density of population leads to the development of friendships among these elderly people and the care that they get, that there's just easier to care for more people.
There's nothing wrong with that, but remember, we're wetland.
I know, but I keep that in mind.
I just don't want you to have too many things on the record.
Right, okay.
That are not wetlands related matters that cause us a problem.
But I do consider myself on this commission trying to do the best for Monroe. So I'm just telling you, you know.
That's fair
Yeah.
with the inland wetland part of it.
Okay.
So
That being said,
do you have a
if I
wetland
can
concern?
abstain, then that's, you can
I
get.
don't tell you you can or
No, no,
you cannot, but,
Before we get to that, let me
Yeah.
just ask you this quick, like, do you have a wetland concern that we can address?
No, because it's existing from when I wasn't here. So I can't really bring up the concern. It needs to keep
Right, so-
going. So, but I can't, in all
Right, that's
honesty.
what so what concern do you have with what's in front of us right now? That's a wetland related specific thing that we need to consider.
That we're too densely populated in this particular section.
But that's a planning and zoning issue. That's not a
No,
wetland.
no, I mean, with regard to the sewage, the septic systems that, you know, it's just.
Okay, so let's ask James. Does James have any concerns with the proximity of everything based on what has been submitted? And let's use his expert opinion to help get you to a more comfortable place. That's all. James, do you have any concerns?
So I will say that the septic systems are governed by the health department, and the state health code. So typically speaking, I am not looking at the, the septic designs or anything like that, because that's handled by the health department and everybody else. The only thing that I will mention about septics and leaching fields, in regards to wetlands is, what's ending up happening is you are sending some additional water in that direction. Every time you flush, things like that, you get, some phosphorus, nitrogen, you get some additional stuff. A lot of that tends to help plant growth. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a failing septic system. Above it is luscious and green. So it's not necessarily too bad, as long as the systems are functioning as intended. Because within the first, I believe, if my numbers are correct, I believe 90% of anything bad gets filtered out in the first 10 feet from a septic system. So after 10 feet, pretty much everything gets filtered out.
So the concern I have is that these are seniors for the most part. And as such, there's a lot of drugs that they're taking, that are, and our systems are being polluted by, by our pharmaceuticals, unfortunately. And I just see that, everybody's got quite a number of medicines that they're taking as they get older. And so I have concerns that there's just too many people in too small of a place as far as the septic and the ability for the land to maintain itself and not have an effect. I don't think that the animals and wetlands need the cholesterol medicines.
Maybe they do, but and I think that's a fair concern. The question is there a regulation that says, because this is a age restricted, they may have more medications, therefore a septic system needs to be built different. So
We're in health code.
right, and so the question is, are there specific wetland related things that we need to be concerned with that we can,
Well, based on Dr. Danzer's description of the wetland being somewhat poorly drained soils, very deep, poorly drained loamy, I have a problem. If it wasn't everything, then I would say, okay, but it's everything in front of me. It just makes me very uncomfortable. So
okay,
I got to tell you, I'd like to abstain because I wasn't part of it. And I know what you're saying, and I don't have but there is got to be some leeway for us to protect the water in the wetlands and the pollution of that water in the wetlands. So that's where I'm coming from. I apologize if my consternation is giving you agita, but I have agita, and I don't want you to have agita, so you can take a vote and I'll just go with the other questions.
I mean, you can vote yes, you can vote no, and you can.
No, I don't want to vote no.
I mean,
I don't think I want to, I don't want to hold this up, and that's why I went along with it last
if
week.
you don't feel like because you were part of the original approval, that's the reason you want to abstain, I think that's acceptable, but I don't.
Right. If I was part of the first approval, I would have forced the situation of alternative plans that had less impact. Why do you have to have these? And I would have pointed to those 6 houses. Because they're creative enough to figure out how to do it. Why didn't they do that, this time? Follow?
all right, so we're at the point where we need to take a vote.
So I just would like to point out that a draft resolution was circulated to this board for their review, for this commission for their review. If there are any changes to that, I'm happy to make edits to it. I did leave in something that says the plan shall be revised as follows. I do not believe, based on the previous discussions, that there was anything concrete that the commission had wanted to add. If that is not true, please let me know. If that is true, that there's nothing we want, I would just ask that if a motion is made to approve, it's made to approve with the condition that that portion of the page 2 just gets deleted because if there is nothing there to add to it. It's in green. You can see the NA in green. It just says the plan shall be revised as follows. And I just left that in there in case this commission had things that we needed to write in here tonight prior to accepting the resolution.
Not revising anything, or no one's proposing it.
That is fine. So if a motion is made, I would just ask that it is made with the condition, with the edit that that bullet point be removed.
The NA one?
Yeah.
All right, motion to approve with the draft with that amendment removed.
Okay, we've got a motion for Commissioner Lindstrom to accept the draft resolution as written plus one edit. Second, for myself, Chairman Romano. All in favor?
All right,
Aye. All opposed? All abstentions?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Can we do a roll call? Can you do a roll call just
I'll do
so?
it by, I'll do it by roll call. Commissioner Sabia, how do you vote?
abstain.
Commissioner Fernandez, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Romano is,
Yay,
yay. Commissioner Lindstrom,
yay.
Commissioner Smith. Abstain. All right, we got 3 abstentions and 2 approvals.
So motion passes.
Should pass.
That-
Yeah. Okay, so now we're doing IWC 20-18, is that 18? Or cross through, -07, A1, file number 1145-205 Monroe Turnpike, request to modify permit. Change new building from office to self-storage, including revisions to grading, wall location, and drainage improvements. 205 Monroe Turnpike LLC owner, solely engineering LLC representative. So do comment?
I'm sorry, I'm not following on the agenda.
We're in we're in deliberation sessions,
Yes, sir.
but we move from
Closed session.
public hearings to deliberations.
Right.
And closing.
Yes.
We're moving it down. We're gonna deliberate what we just closed.
So if you look under public hearings, obviously 20-7 is now in deliberation sessions because we closed it, and we're deliberating. That was the self-storage.
Okay.
Right. So now we're going to discuss the application and see if you want to make modifications, changes or anything else, and potentially draft a letter. So I was asking you first if you had.
I have no comments.
I'm good.
I'm good. And yourself?
Good.
And, the only thing I keep having a hard time wrap my mind around is that it feels like we got bamboozled on this wall thing. That got relocated after we approved it in one location.
I was gonna bring it up. I wasn't sure if it was part of this deliberation or
It is. And
Well-
No, you can discuss it. I mean, the fact of the matter is it still has to have final approval by this board, of its location. Staff's issue was they're in the middle of transitioning the rear of the property to do something. They are building this wall because they have to build a portion of it in order to stabilize it for Aldi. So we had two options. They could either build it per the approved plans, and then if something got changed and approved by Wetlands or P and Z, they would have to rip it out and then rebuild it, or at the risk of what was being done, they could build it for what they were proposing to put in front of P and Z, and that they did bring in front of, staff in order to make sure that what was initially built was structurally sound. Because once you try to rip out a retaining wall, you're potentially putting structurally the whole thing
right. No,
at risk.
I get all that. I'm just concerned that there wasn't a heads up email, something that says, guys, hey, listen, this is normal. This is being changed. The timing is such that we have to make a decision on the fly rather than coming here and, finding out after the fact that it's not proposed, it's actually built. And now we're in an awkward position to say, well, we're going to approve a proposal that's already built.
And at this
It's also-
time, the WEO should have,
So
he should have brought it up at a meeting. You are correct.
that's my concern. I think these guys did what they were supposed to do and they thought they had a green light and they did it. It's more of a process thing. That's why I wasn't sure if this should have been brought up during this part of the conversation or a separate.
No, I think your concern is very, very valid. We do have new staff now. I think so. It's wonderful to be having this conversation in front of him of what this commission expects moving forward as field changes are made. And yes, that is something that can be brought in front of the commission. James, I don't know if you have any additional comments as well.
Yeah, a lot of this, just so the commission knows, happened during that kind of transition period. At the end of Cheryl's time. So there may have just been a disconnect with staff in comparison to normal procedures of letting you know. The only other thing that I'll add is staff also was aware that this was coming in front of you very quickly, after that decision was made, and the applicant knew that they were constructing this at their own risk. And so we made it very clear that this was at their own risk. And if the commission did not deem it, acceptable, that's on them. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that all this happened right during that transition. So.
Okay.
And it is
Hopefully that
within
should be
the
enough.
originally approved limit of disturbance.
Right.
That was the main conversation over and over again is we would never okayed them increasing their limit of disturbance in the upland review area. They were really just kind of moving around akin to parts within the same footprint.
And if they didn't do it, what it also created was some awkward grading conditions. Because if they tried to stick with what was approved and then try to grade it accordingly, it actually made the encroachment almost closer to the wetlands. So, we kind of made that, we evaluated it that way and said, okay, well, if you did extend it a little bit more into where you want to go, now you're cutting that extra fill that would be closer to the wetlands than what was originally approved. So it was kind of a balancing act.
But to your point, we probably saw you within 2 weeks of that. And during that time period, should have presented it to you, brought it up to you and walked you through what it was. And at that point, you would have had the opportunity, if there was a major objection, most likely for us to go back to the applicant to talk about it.
But this plan that we got for that, was that the engineered drawings for the wall? It was the site location for the wall, right? So they
Correct.
had to go and get a structural engineer to design the wall.
Correct.
Yes,
They
had
didn't
to pull the building
they
permit.
didn't presumably do that before getting approval for the location, right?
They're allowed to design whatever they want before,
So I'm saying that usually typically, there's another process of getting the wall engineered and stamped. And
Correct.
there is a process involved. It's not like they came in the day after we approved it and you guys stamped a building permit to build the wall. So why couldn't they have come back to us and said, well, we're gonna make a modification while we're doing this. How do you feel about the modification? It just feels like, it really feels like it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. In today's day and age, I just feel like that's not acceptable anymore.
Yeah,
And-
procedurally, this is the modification. This is the request for modification.
Right, but they're
Because
not supposed to do
it's
the
already
work.
been built.
Yeah,
It's
they're
already
not supposed to
been
do the
built.
work first. They're
And
supposed to.
then,
come after. Yeah.
how are we not supposed to feel like assholes if we don't think because they already built something, they had to go through that hardship, over 12 and a half feet. But
I
it undermines our authority. I mean, it's a tough one. It's really a tough one. I don't like it. I really don't.
And procedurally, you are correct. The WEO should have brought it to your attention at a meeting and walked you through what was discussed. with you.
And I honestly don't, and no offense to you guys over there, I just don't feel that there's been any real effort to explore something in the middle of this. It's like, we can't do this or we can't even build the building. Like, I've built buildings before. If you gotta shave something 10 feet or something over there, it doesn't kill the project. Yeah, are you not gonna be able to buy an airplane as soon as you wanted to, maybe after building the building? But, it's all the same, 90-degree turns, it's the same length of walls. It's just a little bit square footage you lose for rental income. And, I get it, you wanna maximize everything. But on the other hand, you were given a footprint that was approved and, that, it's almost like, where's your limit? Where's our limits on anything? We just keep on going. Limits don't matter anymore. We approve something, it's a pretty aggressive application, but, just how much building is being allowed within the 100-foot review area and improvements. I just thought, and again, I was just found out tonight that the wall was never even built where it was originally, where I am the only one I think that was here. Right? Because it was one of the first things I was on, that I originally was part of the approval process, that the wall wasn't, even 6 years later, I find out tonight that the wall wasn't even built where I voted on its location. So, I'm struggling with it. If it was me, if it was my opportunity to do a development and someone said, this is your footprint, and you could put in a 85,000 square foot building because it's maybe not totally modular, but this is what we have for, this is what we have, this is what we approved, I would find a way to make it work. So I feel a couple things, negative going on here, and I don't want to feel that way, but.
Your concerns are understood, they are heard, and procedurally, we will make adjustments moving forward.
So I know it's gonna be hard to think this way, but let's, for the sake of this part of the discussion, pretend like they didn't build it yet and they just presented this to you.
Right.
Would you be okay with it?
No, not the wall that close to the wetlands.
Okay.
I mean, it was close. It's close now. where it was originally proposed, that's pretty aggressive.
Right.
You know, if you've seen it, you've seen how tall that wall is, how close it is to the wetlands.
So the fact that they've removed the wall from other areas that are infringing on the wetland.
That part I didn't really grasp on.
Well, because the wall was much longer, so they cut it back, shortened it up quite a bit, so it's now not encroaching on wetlands over here. The trade-off is it's a little closer over here, but also, you know, there's a lot less impervious area because they got rid of some of the parking spaces and the pavement and the driveway and all that stuff, so
And the wall is encroaching.
it's a trade-off. We got a lot less of this, and a little bit closer to that. So that's. So, yeah, so the wall is going, obviously here, getting close to all the wetlands over here, and so in order to. No, this is gone. The red is what they had originally.
Yeah, the red is the previously approved,
Red
the
is
black is the
previously
currently
approved.
proposed.
Current proposed, right. So it's a trade-off. You're losing all the, you know, impervious area here, plus the wall, and giving up a little bit of this. That's the trade.
This wall is right up against the wetland,
So,
right up against it. Like, need that somehow to. I just, that's a very valid point.
don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to tell you I'm in favor, but I'm just reiterating what they said. I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. And your point was, why not cut back some of this a little bit to be able to shift this way and still have room for the fire? I get it.
Which if I would be logical if they hadn't already built the walls.
Right, I was thinking the same thing, right? You could probably even if you 45 this a little bit, just to give yourself a couple of
Confusing
feet.
driving by, is like, what, how is that part of the wall not built yet?
So I'm with you. I think there probably could have been some sort of a compromise. Make it a little smaller, keep it a little further away. You know, like you said, find a way to make it work and still keep it. But we're kind of at where we're at. Unfortunately, we're at where we're at because we gave them a green light when we shouldn't have.
Yeah, not
That's
us. Yeah.
the town of Monroe. Now, but they did caveat it by saying they may not approve it, and you may build a wall that has to come down and get changed. So they knew that going into this.
So as of right now, how much of this wall that we built is actually what's on the plan right now?
I have not visited that.
So they mentioned that
It's not all built.
It's not all built height wise. I think the length. They said they're gonna add a couple more rows to the top. You want to pause this and do a site? Because this is, if ever there was a time to go and look at what's going on.
Here's the only problem with the site walkthrough is you have to discuss what you viewed on site to be part of the record and you close the public hearing. So that has to be added as part of the record. And we cannot add anything more to the record because we closed the public hearing. Because anything you take as a site walk has to be shared with everybody so that everybody can use that as part of their determination. So it's new information, and new information cannot be added after the public hearing is closed.
Kind of see right from, you see from, you don't have to go on the property, you can drive around the back of here and you could see right what's going on. Which again, something in my brain wasn't clicking because I'm like, this wall's so close to the wetlands, how could they be asking for any closer? Not knowing that.
It's this wall that's already built.
No, what I'm saying is that my brain knew this.
Right, no, I got it, right, yeah.
So I'm looking out there going, oh, that's awfully close to the wetlands. I don't remember being that close.
Also, as James had said, it would be an extraordinarily awkward grading situation or an almost impossible grading situation.
If they follow the original wall.
Based on their proposed design.
So the problem is too, when, like you previously mentioned, there are other processes that they have to go through, such as, getting the building permit for the wall. So at that point, myself and the building department required the full engineering design for the wall. And that's when conversations really sparked back up, because they knew that they were trying to come in for the modification, so they didn't want to fully install the wall in the previous location to then tear it down and come back, you know what I mean, and then potentially compromise the existing wall. So that's where all that happened.
So you're basically telling us our hands are tied.
So
Because if we had to do the same,
Nope, your
but
hand,
use the same logic to give them this agent approval where if you were saying there's something awkward about this, if the engineer screwed up the grading plan or whatever, it's a modification to a plan. It's got to an approved plan. Why is it not coming back in front of us for modification?
the issue that I had was the interim stabilization, not what, like, not where it was before the wall, not where it's going to be when the total project is completed. Literally this time gap in between. That stabilization would have been very difficult and would not have matched if they tried to fully install the existing wall and tried to meet grades. So because again, there's going to be a time lag between obviously the first building, the grocery store or the grocer, and then this warehouse. So we were also like, that was also in our minds too, is that time gap in between, and making sure that, again, we're not negatively impacting the wetlands significantly more by creating unfavorable conditions.
So do you have any concerns with the current design and building of this, or like, are you okay with this? I know.
So I mean, the only way that I'm looking at it truly is just the actual engineering principles behind the wall. In terms of like a wetlands impact, I don't have much of an opinion on that one. To be honest with you, I'm going to leave that one up to this commission. But from a technical standpoint, I'm just trying to make sure that the wall is safe and works.
Thank you.
Again, for this commission, I believe you should be evaluating this application as if the wall is not there. So try to take that out of your minds and look at what's being presented as the full-fledged modification. We allowed them to construct the wall because, again, it was an interim stabilization of that area, where they were already going to have grading, they were already disturbing. Again, it was kind of like that happy medium. But for this commission, you should be evaluating as if there's no wall there and this is fresh.
A little bit easier.
Yeah,
I
then
would never approve a wall that close.
I don't think I'd like it there either.
Even though the trade-off, I just.
I think you can get both. You can get the trade-off of minimizing.
I think there's a better way to come to a resolution where everybody's gonna be happy.
Yeah.
But sticking this, like James helped, he said, pretend like the wall's not there. But there's gotta be a way to make this thing work where we get a little more room around these wetlands.
A little more buffer, I agree.
And make some flow and have the fire marshal come in and maybe help with the
25 feet.
Yeah.
like whatever it takes to get the truck in there, something. So, I mean, I feel bad. It's a crap situation for everybody to be in right now.
I'm with you. I think this wasn't handled right.
So what?
Wasn't handled right.
I know how this motion's, well, let somebody make a motion. I mean, any more discussion? We're still open to discuss it amongst us at this point.
No, I mean, I agree. I think it's just a little too close to the wetland.
Yeah, no, I really like the fact that you're standing up for it and pointing out and making us think it over twice. I'm not, I'm just, and I respect your opinions as elderly members of this commission, seasoned members or whatever. So, honestly, guys, thank you, for talking this through. I think, if I could make, what kind of resolution should I make? To go back to,
No, it's a motion to deny.
Well, what it is, because I was the only time that we ever had another denial, apparently in the history of this town, was for Cambridge. And because we're not denying it, saying we don't want this project, we don't like this, we want a different plan. This is the plan they presented us. They asked to close the hearing. It's a denial without prejudice, meaning like
Right, oh, yeah.
the very next meeting, come,
okay.
application will, and we'll figure it out.
So I make a motion, that we proceed denial without prejudice for this project.
A second.
Second, the motion from Commissioner Smith, second from Commissioner Lindstrom. All in favor?
I'm sorry, the motion was Smith, the second was Lindstrom.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so that's it for now on. Now we're at IWC 20-2024-01 file number 1472-205 Spring Hill Road. Proposal to construct 31,200 square foot industrial office building, including associated parking, drainage improvements, expansion of wetlands within the 100-foot upland review area. GPS 205 Spring Hill LLC owner and applicant, Solar Engineer LLC representative. All right, Luke, ready? Oh, no, this is reading from the wrong section. We're at,
It's already done.
I'm still reading from public hearing section. And
It's already
I
done.
forgot, my brain is a little. All right, it's us. Any discussion?
I'm okay with it as long as they make that little change to increasing the.
Yeah, and I
the
could leave it
collection
up to,
It's fine.
I mean,
To appease the,
I meant to, I thought, I tried to ask that. I just realized I forgot. We can't. Do you guys want to throw a number out there? It's 8 inches now. It could be anything from. It could be.
You can't say per the approval of the town engineer.
What's that?
You could say, I mean, if you want to set a number, you can set a number. Or we can just not approve it tonight, draft a resolution.
No, I think we
I think we
can.
gotta prove it tonight, but the thing
Hold
is
on,
that there's.
Unless there's anybody else have any other concerns other than
that.
that.
You're just gonna have to you have to approve it with conditions.
Yeah, no, we'll come up with a condition. I just want to make sure there's some other.
All of the
Right.
conditions. James has some stuff he needs to add to it, so I'm gonna have to try to collect all of that right now while we're sitting here.
Yeah.
So my
Let's
preference is,
discuss that, while you're collecting that, we'll discuss the pipe.
okay,
So so pipes are nominally 10, 12, 8, 10, 12, 15. We don't have to consider over 15, so it's more than twice the volume of an 8.
So let's go to 12.
Not to be less than 12.
Yeah.
That's the same, I think that's the same that's coming out of the. That's tremendous. It's not, and it's not, I just did this. It's not a huge financial burden for that much pipe. We could just let James, how you think You know, everybody's kind of saying 12, right?
Not to be less than.
Yeah, right. And if they decide that they want to go even higher for whatever reason, they certainly can go bigger. James, how do you feel about that? Does that sound fair to you?
That sounds fair. I'll be fully transparent too. My concern is not the diameter of the pipe. It is basically the width of the curtain drain and what is capturing the water. I do believe, you know, realistically, probably that 8 inch is more than sufficient for the area that it's collecting. The biggest concern I have is to make sure that water makes it to the pipe.
Yeah.
So do you rather have a wider trench or a more extended trench up the hill?
Uh, yes. So what the engineer recommended was they were going to, right now, the slope on the edge of the building, I believe, is at 3-to-1 or even flatter. They're going to steepen it a little bit and pull it tighter. What that does is give them more room on the bottom. So what they'll basically be able to create is a little hole or a
Oh, they're
swale. So now that water that's running down the slope would have to go to the bottom, and then it would have to come back up over a berm, which is not going to
leave the site.
correct to leave the
So
site.
you think it's just the grading and the modification of the berm and no increase in the actual proposed structures and gravel stuff?
But potentially at most for me, it would be the width of the trench. But the 8-inch pipe should be more than sufficient.
Right, so
But
we're
if
not
the
gonna-
commission is worried about it, you can up it to like 10. I don't know if I see a need to go
So-
above that.
We want to even then change the size of the pipe based on James's discussion.
Depends what the engineers.
It's more, I mean, I know he is more than plenty for that.
Let him stew on it, just give him the power.
We're gonna take this size of the pipe out of it. How do you want the trench modified? Wider by, I didn't even look at the dimensions.
Yeah, I'd have to double check the dimensions on it.
I think it was 74 feet long.
Yeah, it's 74 feet long. I just don't know the width off the top of my head.
And there's what? There's no. .4 foot wide. So you want to make it. Six.
Wait, how feet? It's
What?
Is it 12 feet wide now? That's
Oh,
wide.
4 feet wide on
Oh,
the,
4.
right. And the top of the stone, the top of the frame of the gallery, so I don't know if this thing is supposed to be, it looks like it's level. Top of the frame is 324. Which is a foot below the building's at 329, so that would make it 5 feet. So it's 5 feet of pitch over to 50 feet. And I know it's not 50 feet, it's probably 40. So there's 5 feet of pitch over to 40 feet. Which is 8%?
About.
What?
About, yeah.
So we could bring it in 5 feet and then raise the berm on the back side to 325. So 325 on the northeast side of the trench would put a foot berm over it. Like you said, a foot was enough, right?
Yeah. I think for the ease of the approval, I think if we indicate that there should be a 1 foot high berm along that northern property line,
Right.
I think that would be sufficient. Because if the trench is already 4 feet wide, that should be more than sufficient. As long as the water can't run past it. So
So it's gotta come up 1 foot, 1 to 1, 2 feet across one. So it'd have to shift up at least 4 feet, maybe 5.
correct.
But I just want to call in the 1 foot high berm at 325 on this north side and then just have them adjust their plan accordingly and you just You're happy with it?
I'd be happy with that if you guys are comfortable with
what-
giving me that purview to kind of approve that and review that.
So the language is gonna be a 1 foot high berm on the north side of the stone trench as written on this plan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's gonna be,
So were there any other?
James, the issue is James never issued his final memo, so I'm having just a really hard time figuring out exactly what his outstanding stuff is and a bond because the bond was never issued in his memo.
Yep, so just so the commission knows, the bond value that was submitted by the applicant is for 13,724. I'm still in the process of reviewing it. To be honest, the only line item that I have questions on or concerns with is their landscaping line item. I don't know if that's adequate, so, that's the only one that I have. The rest are appropriate.
What is the? What is their number
2,000.
for landscaping bond?
No,
Yep.
for the landscaping portion of the bond, yeah.
I mean, all the plantings around the entire base.
Right.
And there's over
Yeah.
4,000 in the pond, right?
Right.
Feels light to me.
That feels real light. It does.
It feels light to me. I just need to investigate it further.
Yep.
But that's where I'm at with the bond. And normally we like to, or it's nice to be able to have the bond amount in the motion.
Right. So we don't even have. Do we have the landscape plan?
Yes, you do.
That's all.
Is it a different packet? Do they
I think it
have
was-
packets on this?
I think it was in the book.
Oh, in the book?
I think so.
And Kathleen, the only other comment I had was about the location of the gas and electric meters on the side of the building. And that I believe that they need to be evaluated further due to the trucks.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So how do I make that a condition that they need to be evaluated? Like I need something tangible.
Um, uh, demonstrate that the locations of existing gas meter and electric meters will not provide conflicts with vehicles.
I'm sorry, that the existing gas meter and what meter
Electric meter.
will not provide conflict with.
uh, uh, any vehicles. We can just leave it at that.
Sure.
Yeah.
It has. Trees. 23 trees. Seen this notification for. Well. 12.
Bigger plan.
Oh, you found the bigger one?
Yeah. Read it.
That's the big. Oh, I thought I heard 3,000.
The number was,
There's the planting schedule.
yeah.
Folks. Grass is brown covers.
Proper. I think you're thinking of the proper.
Yeah.
That was bigger. Same guy. Okay, we got it. Let's just plan.
Oh, wait, what is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay. So, the factor. Getting closer. Big ones, these are all native restoration. The big ones, site. So we're all. We're doing the planting bond for the basin or for the entire site?
I don't know how this commission has done it in the past. I mean, we just need to know from P and Z perspective, because if we just bond for the opposite, I'm assuming we're just bonding for. I'm so sorry, I'm assuming you're just bonding for. Wetland, the upland review area. We just have to make sure P and Z doesn't double dip if we bond.
Different 261. Just realize that different.
They updated the
The
plans.
date, check the date.
Yeah.
On the front of the.
You all right?
Very long days, very long.
This week.
Sound like it's stuffy.
I'm just.
You can stamp on it. Nope.
This is what we're bonding.
Stamp on this.
They adjusted the planting plan slightly based on my comments. They had three,
Is this the adjusted?
whatever, the one that they just submitted on the 12th.
On the front, see what the stamp is.
The receipt date should have been the 12th.
No, that's another one.
Yeah, February.
3/13, March 5th.
Again,
What's the date on that one? Rick?
You have it.
it's the asphalt,
Small one, the small one.
it's the,
Small one, is it?
Yeah, the small one is
The one that I'm
3/4.
looking at it,
The
no.
smaller one's the one that's on.
Okay.
The one you can't read.
I can see, as long as I can see the plan, I can make it, I can make it, make it. I can make it.
it's shut out.
This is. You know, the plan for the whole site. Nothing else for this.
One.
No, that's the whole, that's the.
The latest landscape plan, were revised every 312.
That's it.
And then I think they have the, an enlargement, that they sent them.
What's that? But the plant list for the wetlands pond, the pond.
Is a separate sheet.
Where's the plant list? Oh, here.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's. This is all over the place. All right. Oh.
Math for you.
Yeah, 110 plus 110.
330.
75.
All those up.
Yes. Yes. Percent with it. I'll cover. Who wasn't it? I'll say it. Yeah. All right, what? Where are we at now?
You need a number to put on
The number for the what, for the.
for the bond.
Bond. So it was 13,724, but James, that included the 2,000 for the plantings, correct?
Correct. Oh,
So it's if you want to add anything above the 2,000.
Is only for the landscape plantings?
correct. Yeah, yeah,
Their formulation, the applicant's formulation?
Correct.
correct.
All right, so I think that the planting plan for the basin.
Yep.
Should have a $6,000 bond on it. And the seeding or whatever seed mix they're gonna put around the basin, which I'm guesstimating quickly at 12,000 square feet. Cause I'm not gonna get a scale out and try to get crazy
Yeah.
here. 1,750 for the whatever mix that they have to put on the ground.
Yep. So for the seating, they had a area of like a little bit over 14,000. They had 2856 for that cost. So they're above that. Again, I didn't have an issue
They
with
were
that.
bigger than my number. That's,
Yep.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that part.
So if I plug in $6,000 for landscaping, that gives a new bond amount for $18,123.60.
So your 6,000 is above there is,
Four, so we're up by 4,000.
Four more.
he added 6, not 4.
No. I replaced the 2,000 with
With
6,000.
6. Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So you said 18,123 and 60 cents.
Correct.
So we have to give the language in the,
Language for the Drainage.
It's broke down somewhere now.
The only language for the approval, I believe, is just for the bond amount. Because the bond form will be in the file.
Just say 1 foot.
Yeah, I got it. So we don't have to, you're saying we don't have to list the bond amount in the approval?
Only the final amount, the $18,123.60.
Got that, Kathleen?
The 18,120, yeah, and 60 cents.
So we ready to try to call out this draft?
Sure.
Let's make the motion, or you want me to? You have all the details for the,
Just this.
okay. So first motion just for the draft.
This is a motion for staff to draft a letter of approval with that condition.
All right.
Oh, you are, this is the draft, this isn't the approval.
We're not voting on it tonight.
Got it. That's what I was under the impression that you
Oh,
wanted
yeah. Yeah, we thought you were voting on it.
I thought,
to vote it.
Oh,
That's,
if we're that close, then we can, if we can.
that's what I was saying.
I mean, my preference is always
To
to,
vote on the staff to draft the.
oh, no, that I'm totally fine, that I'm totally fine with. We were doing this because we thought you wanted to actually vote to approve it tonight.
That's what I thought we were doing.
We can do that. All right, sorry, I'm sorry if that.
No, I mean, I always would want 2 weeks in order for me to give you guys an actual draft, because as it relates like to the record, it's always like I can't, if I start drafting the resolution and I'm like, oh, we should really state this, like, unless it was actually stated here at the meeting, I can't add anything.
I guess
agree.
my only, my goal is that it'd be nice to be able to tell the applicant that they, go ahead, you're safe to go, file your P and Z.
They're already at P and Z.
Oh, they already are.
They've.
Oh, so then 2 weeks,
Previously.
then 2 weeks doesn't matter. Doesn't make a difference for you guys, right?
Can I speak? Yeah, the only, if we were to get approved in one night, we could technically get approved next week at P and Z. That's all. I don't know what the likelihood of that is.
If we're almost
I'm
there,
gonna tell you, I'm gonna do the same thing, which is I need 2 weeks to draft the resolution.
so do we have to just make the motion to draft it? I didn't realize you were drafting it right now.
Considering some of the challenges we had with a different situation, I think we do it the correct procedurally way and wait
I
to,
know you've given me the kit of parts, you've given me everything I need, so, it'll go smoother and it's just me checking it. And now I know that you guys are in agreement of the bond amount and things like
everything's,
that.
it's just
So that's.
get it in writing. Read through it and agree to it. I think
Okay.
that's better safe than
So it's
rushing through it.
a motion to draft a letter,
Motion to draft a letter of approval with all the conditions we discussed,
call that.
specifically the 1 foot high berm north side of the stone trench.
All right, we got a motion to draft a letter of approval from Commissioner Litchfield. Do we have a second? Second. Second from Commissioner Sabia. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. All right. Thank you. Okay, now we're at bond release deduction reports, none. IWC agent activities report. None. Enforcement, none. Permitted use as of right.
We've got some things in the works for all of this. We just, again, we're in a staff transition and we haven't been able to actually issue them, but we are working on a couple things.
Public hearings, none. Correspondences, withdrawal letter.
Yes, so we received the reason why 1536 and 1564 Monroe Turnpike is not on the agenda tonight is because on March 7th, 2024, they issued a letter to Mr. Thomas Noonan, the Wetlands Zoning Enforcement Officer, regarding Sun Valley Glen, James Land Development, 1536, 1564 Monroe Turnpike, application IWC 2023-11, file number 1467. Dear Thomas, please be advised that on behalf of our client, we are withdrawing the above referenced application. We do, however, plan to resubmit soon and request that the application fee be applied to the new application. If we can be of any further assistance in this matter, please don't hesitate to contact our office. Just so you know, it is staff's opinion that they can use the same application fee. Part of the reason that they're withdrawing the application is to kind of give everybody a little more time to absorb what they have already been able to hear from the public, to see if they're going to use any of that to, I don't know what they're going to come in for, but to use any of that. And then staff isn't up against a statutory constraints where we're always asking for extension and things of that nature. So for them to be able to withdraw it, it's actually doing us a favor in the sense of not having to turn things around really quickly, a third-party consultant, things of that nature. It's not pressure on the board. So we are inclined to let them use their fee for a resubmission of the application.
We discard all these submissions and let them resubmit everything?
Correct, because it's a brand new application. You cannot take anything you heard from the first application into consideration when you make your determination. You have to look at it as a brand new application.
So I get to recycle this.
Yes.
Beautiful.
We recycled a lot of things today. So you have a very empty bag by the end of tonight.
I got this big bag. This is the,
Oh, we have,
Monroe.
we didn't, what?
this is the one we denied.
Right, but we're gonna give us a whole new application. Right, same thing. The 205 Monroe Turnpike.
I can't speak on behalf of the applicant.
If we deny them without prejudice, they have to still
They-
resubmit.
They
it.
don't have
No,
to.
Oh, they
no,
don't have
but
to?
we don't have to keep any of this stuff because we basically said no.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but they have a legal approval for the old wall location. I mean, it would be in their best interest to come back, but like, it doesn't force them to come back.
right, it's interesting. But if they are gonna come back, we're getting all this stuff.
Yes.
Got it.
Denied.
Okay. All right, so now just a couple of minutes on the public outreach thing. Because I think everything else on the agenda.
Meeting minutes.
Oh, we're gonna do the minutes? Does anybody write them?
I think we're gonna have to table it until, because there are a couple of edits, unless you want me to give you the,
Yeah, I don't have a copy of them, so hold on.
all right, we'll table it for
Thank you.
tomorrow.
No, unless you guys want to read through it more.
Yeah.
No,
I
let's,
want to get out of here.
Yeah.
table it.
The only thing I want to catch up everybody on is public outreach. Did you get, it had, it would have been yesterday or today from Christian. Did you get anything new from them?
Let me triple check because
No.
I'm getting my emails and people's emails.
Bill left?
He just walked out. Right.
I think he's talking to people.
Bill? All right, so what I found out in a conversation with the first guy that we were gonna hire is that there's a whole aspect to evasive control that the state of Connecticut gives out grants for to municipalities. I know nothing about it. Just, one of those, here, you take this money, but you gotta do it our way, so it costs you 3 times as much. But anyways, so there's so my original thought with having, the amount of people involved in this presentation, I scheduled it I was planning scheduling for 3 hours. Is that I don't know if the Public Works Department has any knowledge of this, what I didn't want to do is turn it into, these, Public Works now finds out about there's all these grants and then they start to like override this conference because, there's so much good they can do if they get, however much money and they can go out and start, treating and digging out this stuff. So I didn't want to like have this like potential open situation where we get steamrolled over by, Public Works because there's a lot of really like tantalizing stuff there. So, the guy I spoke to, who was our original guy, he seemed to actually be a little more in tune with what I was trying to accomplish and had more information on it. But I got, after our phone call, which was last Thursday, and then I spoke to him, I believe, again yesterday, to send me the new updated proposal because it's a 3-hour conference. He only had it in 45 minutes or an hour. So we can make a decision. We haven't gotten that. So we have 2 people that fully understand what we're trying to do. So we still have the second meeting of April, but I don't know how long we can hold on to that if we don't get a deal. with one of these presenters, because I don't want to have to try to advertise it in just 2 weeks. And try to get everybody fit into their schedule. I think we need a little, at least a little bit of heads up on
Got it.
it.
I'll look out for an email from him.
Right.
And then on our end, we have to, your commission's budget is either very little or like basically non-existent. It's very little. It's not enough to cover it. So we just have to figure out on our end. And Bill and I can talk about that.
Right. So, so it's still in the works. It's not, solidified yet. And I want to really focus on, it's more for the people than the government, but it does seem like on the other hand, there is a huge benefit for town public works to understand if they don't already. I don't know, I haven't spoken to anybody over in those doors. If they have a full understanding of what's available to them for resources, so that actually something can get done. Like right now, they could start invasive species control on town projects, whatever, and get funded for it, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know the ins and outs of it, but that's where I am with it. There would still be. Bill,
Sure.
did you get an email from Christian from that soil scientist guy, the soil invasive species guy? Today or yesterday?
Not that rings a bell.
So. At least you had two options now, at the very least. Yeah, so we have this guy, everybody, these people, either one of these guys is up to speed with what I'm trying to accomplish. What we're trying to get out of it is, as all of us. It's just a matter of, I think they have two slightly different focuses, but they'll be able to cover, everything. And then after that, then there's conversations at the, town hall level as far as, what they want to implement, make sure it, fits all the things that they have to do. And it was interesting. I don't know if I told you or Bill, but the actual disposal of that stuff was regulated to dispose of is actually a lot easier than what I always thought, or what I had seen somewhere else. Sorry. I think I got it from maybe from that farming thing, but it's, it can be, those things can be individually disposed of without any special oversight. There's just certain rules about where you get taken. Anyways. That's it. So. I want to make a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion for Chris Lindstrom. Second, Christian Fernandez, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. See you at 10:18 PM.